And then we have like training responsibility. They have like they walk us through everything like also.
I'm just trying to get involved.
But him being custom in Fulton. Southern capital of Florida from Douglas. I have a few.
Do that like state.
I just. If somebody gets out and first. Yes, Ms. Watts, is this, oh yeah, this is from you. Thank you. I'll just send this over to him. My computer would unfreeze.
I'm not sure. Either right now. Okay.
Officer Simon, were you able to find where?
I know you've got to touch something. The other one that I wrote.
Not right now.
I also.
Any word, Miss Watts? I guess we're waiting on the court reporter.
I haven't got an update yet.
Phoenix, did you call Kathy Bosky?
That's I'm on my list of court reporters now to call.
Yeah.
That's where I've gotten down to. I've called state court, we've called companies, I've called court admin.
And I don't know if Candace Sanders, if Schwall's up or not.
I'm trying first. I'm on it though, working on it.
Okay.
Okay, we'll. We'll be ready in a second. She's coming over.
So you guys are Thursday.
Yeah.
Here especially, I just didn't know, like, okay, look at it now, just to make sure you remember.
We can look at it now.
Just drink is the last one.
You just have to,
So I'll just stand up to her.
yeah, a lot of the time she, especially with
Good afternoon.
Preparation is key.
Yes.
You can show her your helps.
Yeah, she'll like this kid's dad had an hour and a half. Yeah, she had to ask him to remember all these crazy things. Well, how did they actually she's, we have done a lot.
It feels weird, it's on 32. It's like. Yeah, it is what it is. Did you figure it out? Okay.
It's your class. Yeah.
She said, "Judge, that's so wild." She said, "Oh, I want to be a judge. I don't think I would do that. I feel like that's just so much stuff. Maybe more silly stuff works. Because I wouldn't want them to be some like a teacher judge or something.
So, well, whenever this goes.
Thank you for logging on, officer. We're just waiting for a court reporter.
Okay, you're on.
Miss Sanders doesn't have her machine with her. Miss Bosky,
I reached out to Bosky. Did you get her?
I text her,
Okay,
let me see.
I texted her too. I'm doing Denise Blackman
In the morning.
and see if I can get her.
You can do like 10 or 6.
Let's see.
The hotspot goes away.
Okay.
Miss Candy's not available. I know she's on tonight.
Oh, and I know she's moving over to full time, so she's not even gonna be. I don't want to say pro temp. What did you call it? Contract, but let me reach out to Miss Gandy and see.
I made it so far. Or law schools across the street. My law schools across the street. Our office.
So.
Yeah, when I was in law school, it was great for internships and externships. Well, I can leave class like 15 minutes later and that where I need to be. I've only ever been to Biloxi for a weekend. It's Mississippi experience. No, in undergrad, I did. I went to go visit him.
You said you're calling Denise Blackman, right?
I guess I get something.
Yeah, it's a small difference. Yeah.
Not that I'm not familiar with that. Don't know my geography. So it's not too beautiful. Good for a weekend.
You can do that. I did it last summer.
Yeah, you can do
I
it.
did it. It's home and then.
But free wearing that offsets that.
So I was like, I'll do it's usually an hour back. Usually.
I'm very much like.
2313, go ahead.
Maybe so bad that I'm in all the local communities. So it's really hard to. If I had it my way, I would walk everywhere or public transit wouldn't be such a. I'm like literally one more stop sign to. So from. Still 2 foot to the courthouse. So it's out.
Judge Manning,
Uh-huh.
I need you to come upstairs and sign some ex partes, please.
Can you email them to me?
No, please report to 826. Judge Manning, 826. Judge Manning, 826. Judge Manning.
Okay.
No.
Hey, get your court reporting machine out, Dr. Taylor. Start taking stuff down.
I can take it down if I could do it pen to paper.
That'll work.
We got YouTube. I mean, I don't know if that's official or not, you know.
What is it?
Either-
What is AI when you need it? I need artificial intelligence to help us out in this very moment. Technology.
Yeah.
Grammarly can't help. Judge,
Ah,
pay attention to me.
She's
I'm
not.
on
She's
screen.
trying to find a court reporter.
yeah, I'm texting court reporters too.
Oh, okay. Well, let me know if you need my,
Pen to paper.
yeah, I'm available.
I called Jerry. I said, who's
Why are you trying to avoid complaining?
Yeah, Jerry doesn't have anybody. Is Judge Glanville still up? Is his court reporter busy? Is he up right now? You know,
I'm not sure if he's up today. I thought he was. Let's see. I know 8H is not nobody's in there today for the viewing. I'm just gonna send an email to all court reporters, all SCA court reporters. That's all I can do. Give me one moment.
So you can focus on the other.
We got 8 positions on the calendar, Judge.
uh-huh.
Okay.
And I'm not sure how many officers are there, Ms. Patton,
3 present, 4.
and one on Zoom. So
And 1 on Zoom. And I just got a text that 1 was on the way, but
I asked which case he was here for and didn't get an answer yet.
Kim Green's working in Carroll County, so she can't. Let's see.
I'm gonna go to lunch. I know you've been busy, stressed, and everything.
Tanika is gonna look and see if she can reach Miss Gandy.
Okay.
Yes.
Judge, you're familiar with Susan Cooper?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, I'm gonna try her. She's retired, so I will try her.
And you asked all the state court people?
Yeah, I even reached out to that person. They're stretched thin. They're having the same issue we're having because we're all pulling from the same pool.
Ah,
Even when it comes to outside agencies, everybody's using the same resources. Let's see. Huh. Was Denise Blackman's maiden name Stewart?
May have been.
Huh. This is new. One is no longer with Fulton County. I'm just getting kickbacks. They're out until Tuesday. A lot of them on vacation. Whitaker.
Yeah, do you know if Judge Ingram up?
I thought we had her today. Let's see. Fantasia. That's what I need. She's on vacation, Cindy. She's on vacation until the 27th. I wonder, does Newkirk's,
I had a couple people say, we can help at night.
yeah. You know, I need help during the day, like now, please. I'll try Christina and just see.
So I'll come back tonight and try to jumble it with a bond hearing. So, kind of throw them in there randomly, see what happens.
This would be a good property exam question.
How's that?
I will throw something in there. Commercial paper. We'll throw some commercial paper in there.
God, please. They fortunately, I don't think they do that anymore. They got
I had a-
commercial paper. Yeah.
I had a commercial paper question on mine. I was like, what?
Yeah. What am I thinking? They still do, secure transactions and everything else. The commercial paper, they stopped that a few years back, I think. Thank God.
Yeah.
Because did they always have Pro in the essays?
Yeah, I think so. Let's see. Yeah.
They might have added Pro to the MBE. I can't remember.
They did.
But, yeah, I mean, I know it's in there now. I can't remember if they got rid of commercial papers and added Pro.
I don't remember anything with commercial paper in it.
That's been a while back. They let that go. Yeah.
White checks are the way they look.
What
Because
is
then
it?
I could watch.
You're literally like all the way over my head right now.
Yeah, well, my thing said my study for commercial paper was watching Catch Me If You Can.
Oh,
And I was like, you know what, that's good enough. And I moved on.
I just remember spending 2 weeks on rule against perpetuities
Why? Yeah.
for no reason.
No,
Yeah,
Because Barbary told me it was important.
it's not.
It's
Oh.
not.
He was.
Yeah, I was talking to Judge Manny the other day on that one MBE question. I'll add it up, and if it adds up to 21, I'll say it's right. I'll pick one of the right answers and move on. If it doesn't add up to 21, then I hit it's not right and go on.
Statistically,
that's my approach to the one rules against perpetuities question.
statistically on standardized tests, B is the right answer. I don't know if that helps you, but
Yeah, no, I don't know.
just pick B for everything. See if it works.
Yeah. If it weren't so expensive, that would be fun to do in another state. Just go roll down the MBE with B and see what happens,
I can't believe that you're having to do a whole thing again.
Well, I mean, I prefer it that way because my multiple choice carried me when I passed before.
I mean, at this point, if it's not criminal law, like, I don't know that I know it. I did a stint in family law for a little bit, so maybe that, but that's about it.
Yeah. See, that's only on the essays thing. Yeah, I definitely don't want, I mean,
The only people I knew that did Harvard were like.
yeah, again, the MBE helped,
Like law school.
it carried the, it ruined the day when I passed when I was licensed, but,
And I was like, no, I'm edgy.
Kind of think Bostic should be able to do this, but I guess she's decided she's not a court reporter.
just a, pre-trial extraordinaire.
Frankly, all of the issues that I've had with court reporters, I mean, I probably think Officer Bostic would be able to succeed. I believe in you, Officer Bostic.
I did reach out to the one court reporter I know. She no longer works for Fulton County. She works with the cab full time.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, I think I reached out to the same one and she's in court.
Bad grades don't really reflect. It's more of a me problem.
Like I said, it's always something with you, Judge.
Recognize that I.
Hence the blurry screen that only you have right now.
I know, why is your screen blurry?
Better.
Better? Okay.
Let's see.
This one person, she retired 4 years ago. She doesn't even have equipment anymore.
Yeah, Candace said she would have done it, but her equipment's at home and she's at the courthouse.
Like a steam engine, kind of steam engine typewriter.
Right.
Somebody has a hand recording device and just record it.
I also thought about immigration law when I took the class.
We could waive preliminary hearing on everything and everyone just find that there's probable cause.
Okay, yeah.
I won't object.
Graduated, and the bar.
All right, Miss Gandy has been texted, so let's see.
Worked as a law.
Oh, you text her? Good. I know she's covering this week in the evening, she said.
She might be in DeKalb during the day.
If she comes on full time, who's going to cover the evenings?
I have now.
She can still cover the evenings because it's nighttime. Weird.
Judge, do you mind if I go to the restroom while we're waiting?
Sure, that's fine.
Like, I do go.
Yeah, Judge Edline said they're running 2 calendars, so her court reporter is busy. I don't know if Judge Besson has one.
I don't work at King's Farm. I like somebody's on fire. And I'm like, those people. And those are all the people that come. Like I went in and I was just kind of like. And like they would like think I was weird. I'm like, what do you need to work fast? They would hear done that. I got the t-shirt. Wasn't fun. It was not that fun. But the way that is how all attorneys treated me. For people. I'm sorry.
Went for those jobs. So,
They pay so well. Medium, like not quite big enough. And I was like, yeah, let's get drinks after work. She's like, okay, like I'll be free around 8. And I was like, I thought we were getting drinks after work. Like for me, it's like 5 in the morning, and I'm like, getting out of here. So much more than some like. Yeah. My best friend and my best friend in law school. I was like, he said, I might be gross, but I'm pleased. I might have all the student. There's not enough money in the world to get back to November for charge. Oh, my God. That's fine. I heard, so my friend is a PhD student at Prelim.
Phoenix, do you ask Judge Johnson, maybe, I know they had hearings today, maybe, don't they use a court reporter?
I don't know, but I can reach out. Just. And I wonder who do they use? Let's see.
Yeah.
Always just me.
How did you do in the whole summer? Once Brian leaves?
Oh, yeah.
It's
I've
just
got
so
all
fun.
unindicted cases and NC1 and NC2.
Well, welcome to my world. Trust me.
Do you know where they're gonna move?
Yeah, complex, but they didn't say what courtroom yet.
Oh,
But,
you're skipping NC, non-complex?
Yeah.
And
They found somebody who knew how to read, so they're putting her.
I do know how to read. It is a talent of mine.
Nice.
Being
I'm just
literate.
being messy.
Well, it's sad and true, but.
Do you know what courtroom yet?
But our lady just came back today. She's doing a training for that. So she just came back today. So I gotta talk to her, see if she's ready. I think someone must be leaving. Or not, it's honestly we're just short to it's probably
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Tomorrow she's
Short
supposed to get a
everywhere.
new trial partner.
you know, I used to be in DeKalb too, so I think that helps, like, because I've done prosecution before and I was at the solicitor's office for 2 years.
Yeah, that does.
So I'm not like starting cold on felonies.
Theory, on what I'm supposed to go to the
Up here.
Yeah. 'Cause I'm- No, I'm probably more. I just like our two attorneys in that. But I like our two attorneys in.
So how long does it take you to get to that point?
2.5 years. Yeah, and like, for a while, I was like perfectly content being in indictment, just. Like my mom died and stuff like that, so I'm like, just leave me here, like, it's fine.
It's
I know.
comfortable, yeah.
Yeah, it's comfortable. So I just,
Hello, you've reached Catherine Bosky.
I started in September. And they said, this was new. They did not start me off training anywhere. They immediately got.
You could have fooled me. I thought you were doing this for like 5 years.
Oh.
Shit.
And then I started. We have a. And in December.
That's a nice way to put it.
So December I started.
Holes you're plugging up at the moment.
Got 4 raises.
Her first number stayed with her. She wanted to go back.
Yeah.
She wanted Prelim and she got like a couple motions after that one.
That's my thing is that like, my problem is that I feel like everything I learned in law school is not like atrophy in my brain because all I do are problems. It's like I've had to like pester other attorneys in my office to be like, can I sit second chair with you? Can I do this losing motion for you? Like just to like remember that there is life outside. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to get in that space where I'm just doing that, like forgetting how to research and to write.
Yeah.
Because you really can do that too much.
Yeah, so what's the nice thing about our office though is that in pre-indictment, you do get paired with like people in complex courtrooms. So when we don't have I'm their intern, so like whenever they're just like, listen, you want experience, this one's like, it's a losing situation. But it's really important. So, you know, I'll do that and actually I was supposed to say.
I may have a lead.
Yeah.
Samantha Ingram, she just asked if we get anyone yet, so let's see.
He lasted 3 day witnesses before, and it was a retrial, and so he thought he could do it. Because we got hung jury the first time. And so like, I was already familiar with this case that the attorney that handled that trial quit. Today, we have one. Yeah. Vitally blaming on the other person in the room. This guy's like a long time girl. And he said no, so we're like, okay, we'll just say it's mystery man. We don't know who this person is. And then like literally the day of trial motions on the side. I was actually counsel and we were like, oh, right. Like seats for this. Which is
Why are we in 1B tomorrow, Ms. Watts?
So we don't have this working tomorrow or on Friday.
Okay.
suspended.
I think my straight on.
Okay. Got it.
Probably gonna have to do the full 20, but we'll see, because he's already in his 50s, so usually around 65 is like what the medical goes on.
I'm being optimistic. I sent her the calendar and the Zoom link. She hasn't responded back yet, but I'm just going to send it to you just in case. Just in case it's a yes. Yeah. Oh, she said yes.
Nice.
Oh, she said she can come. She can be virtual.
Oh, yeah.
Person tomorrow.
Yes.
Also, my office get that policy.
I'll not be having.
I'll see you at some point.
Yeah, I have. Oh, I have.
I just said last time you want all your emotions. So I just.
I didn't get in. I flew back from New Orleans last night. I didn't get in until 12:30, so I'm like, probably tired from that. She goes to Florida, which is 12 for lunch.
Okay.
Oh, I'll be in the office by 9 because I caught him. It's so and someone and two they sort out people that are on bond with people that are in custody with calendars. So yeah, anyway, probably for people that are out on the bond, all happen at a certain time. But then every year, for instance, it's Wednesdays, for instance, Fridays, there's kind of a catch-all every calendar. So
Now everybody wants to respond at one time. I kid you not.
Yeah, nice.
Bosky said she's finishing up in 20 minutes. She can hop on. Ms. Gandy, I believe, just responded back. But Samantha called it first. I'll come on and let her get it.
I'm there because of my clients. So this client that I have on the calendar, I've actually had him through pre-enrollment. So I've had him since December. Picked up his case first appearance, and I've had him all the way through indictment. This is his first time on the calendar. Normally we'd be getting case management and going forward from there, but he's been in jail. I could do his case in December, but he's been in for a while. He's been in jail for exactly.
All right, Samantha's on her way down.
Okay, nice.
All right.
Phoenix, check your phone.
Oh. Tell her never mind.
Okay, I'll give her a call.
Yeah. Or you can send me her number. I'll call. It doesn't matter.
Okay. 'Cause she was about to jump on. I'll send it to you in the chat.
Okay. Since she got night court tonight anyway, so this will give her a break in between.
Okay.
Somebody else on this call has night court tonight too.
Somebody else said. Yeah, I just sent it to you.
Which remind me, I'll try that. If I don't, the files you do and. No, I thought, I mean, formatting, I didn't give you anything formatted.
Yeah,
so I
just
just
like,
like-
I have clue, something, so.
No, I thought it was pretty good. There was just some adjustments I made. So
Perfect, yeah.
Judge Manning,
Yes, ma'am.
I saw your text.
Okay. It'd probably be more fun, but I don't know that would be, make it go faster.
You are not the bionic woman. That's all I'm gonna say.
So Ms. Patton, which cases do we have officers here for?
Okay. We have officers here for position 1, position 2, position 3, position 4, and position 9. The officer for position 4 is online and he's actively, on duty, on call right now. So he would be my preference to go first if we could.
Okay. Cassius Williams.
One of Cassius Williams, he's got 2 on the calendar today.
Okay. All right, Ms. Rondon, we'll take that one first, as soon as the court reporter gets on here.
Cassius Williams.
Unfortunately, the second one of his I'll need to do right after because that officer would need to leave second. So
That's fine.
2 birds, 1 stone.
And Judge, I'm here on position number 5. He's my only position for today.
Oh, okay.
Just for the court's acknowledgement.
You're trying to leave?
Huh?
You're trying to leave
As much as I want to sit here.
and hang out?
Gotta prep for my night court.
We should do her last then.
Helping me avoid all these phone calls from this guy who won't per se.
Honestly, night court is not for the weak-hearted.
Okay, well then. If your people agree. Well.
Is the court reporter coming to the courtroom or she's gonna get on virtually?
She's coming down to the courtroom since she's in the building, she said. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
There'll be nothing holding you. Well, what's up, sorry? Oh, your next court date? Yeah, they've been scheduling out these court hearings like 2 or 3 months at a time.
We could probably bring out Bridges and Williams at the same time. Let's see.
If that's the case, you can bring out Jackson too. It's the same officer on 5 and 6.
Oh, okay.
I can ask the manager.
We can bring out Jackson and Bridges.
Super court date, you know, potentially I could add you on next week. If it's, we have a definite representation case. So we can get more sooner than your reset date. It's just a matter of, you know, getting it offer and, talking about it, making sure that it's something we want to do.
Martha. What's the bond on 5? Do you know?
Not off the top of my head, I want to actually 5,000.
5,000?
Yeah, which. Alright. Let me tell you this complicated story. Do a lot. So homeboy is also been on.
I've never been down there before.
Okay, so
Cassius Williams. What ages you just.
Oh, just kidding. Okay, 5 and 6.
Yeah, I think if we bring 5 and 6, since the officers aren't here,
Aren't here?
or not here, correct? Or
Okay.
Same officer.
Okay.
Let's see.
Thanks.
Whatever.
Phoenix.
Yes. Who's calling me?
The court reporters.
Oh,
Porter was letting you know she's here.
oh, hey Sam, thank you so much, Miss Ingram. We appreciate it.
Yes, ma'am. Just let me know when you're ready.
Oh, I see it here in the gallery screen. I was like, I hear somebody, but I couldn't see.
Like Shawshank Redemption. Allegedly. I heard you say out. A large hole in the side.
Yeah, 5 and 6 are co-defendants, so we could probably bring them out and,
They're on the way out, Judge.
okay.
They're busy. They're busy.
Honestly, my office when it's not like. Just
Wait, no, it's gonna now to finish.
He's not gonna like you could make this. I'm just saying.
We're taking 5 and 6 first because the officer's not here at time. Cool.
Yeah, and then we'll get yours, that way we can just take those really quickly.
I think so.
Which is fine.
Madam Court Reporter, if you just let us know when you're set up and ready to go.
I will, Judge, just, I mean, yeah.
Thank you, ma'am.
I'm not, yeah, just, I'm just not super impressed about this. I'm more impressed about
Well, that's about 25 minutes, you want to see?
She's got.
See? So everybody gets a finish. One is right here. Okay. And honestly, it is one of the
And then once we started at 11, we did the calendar call before we were like, we don't have a court reporter. So then we had to, it's a good thing that most of the calendar. And then reporter for that. And
emergency, yes. There is 5 and 6. Thank you.
That's something that always write down.
well, that's what's happening with like, I don't know.
Which one is this? The Dutch.
Because it's a switch from. No one can guess.
Like it's on here.
Yeah, this is something I've done.
That's how I'm like.
And if I get caught on once, I don't make.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're ready, Judge.
Okay, all right. LT, if you want to bring out Darius Bridges and Jaden Jackson, they're co-defendants. The officer's not here.
All right, hold on. Oh, okay. So Jackson.
Sam.
Can you speak up one more time?
I'm sorry, Embry, I can't hear you because there's too much noise. What'd you say?
My name is Hannah. I'm taking over your case because your previous attorney Will Lyle has left the office.
What'd you say, Ambria? Sorry.
Representing you.
Judge.
Okay.
Here.
Can we bring out Darius Bridges and Jaden Jackson?
Your Honor, they're out here. They're out, Judge.
All right,
The officer is here.
here we go. We got 23 CP.
So we're gonna handle
All
that.
right.
Hang on.
Okay,
Sorry,
all right, we got, that's okay. I just want court reporter to be able to hear. We got 23 CP 217595. Darius Bridges, 201 days without indictment. He's charged with interference with government property, felony. And then his co-defendant, Jaden Jackson, is position 6, 23.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I think she's still setting up, Judge.
Oh.
I can't hear you. Come close to the mic or something, because I don't have to Zoom. I'm sorry.
All right, is that any better?
Yes, let's see.
It's not on that computer?
No,
Oh.
I'm using it. I'm texting that to you, so they turn the volume up here.
Okay.
You can slow down a little bit, please, Judge. Okay, that's fine.
Jimmy, start over.
Yes.
All right, 23 CP 217595, Darius Bridges, 201 days without indictment, not on this charge, interference with government property, felony. Then there's his co-defendant, 23 CP 217595, Jaden Jackson, 286 days without indictment, but not this charge. That's interference with government property. Ms. Patton?
Yes, Your Honor. I did speak with Ms. Correa Jamison for a minute. I didn't know if you had an opportunity to talk to your client before I start speaking.
A little bit, but.
Okay. All right. The state would be requesting a reset for the officer. This would be Officer, I cannot pronounce his name, but Keneo Mike of Fulton County Sheriff's Office. We'd ask for a reset to be locate the officer.
All right, Ms. Correa?
Yes, Your Honor. For Mr. Bridges, in regards to the case on today's calendar, the witness in this case, I believe, is a Fulton County Sheriff. This is something that, where the allegations stem from something that occurred from within the Fulton County Jail. I think that this is a witness that should be very much available, considering my paychecks are signed by the same person that signs his paychecks. So at this point, I would be asking Your Honor to consider dismissing this case for want of prosecution for this officer's no call, no show.
Ms. Rondon?
Your Honor, my argument is very similar to co-defendant's counsel. There's been no showing that Deputy Keno Mike has any legal cause to not be here. He's no called, he's no showed. My client has been in custody for a very long time. He's been in custody for this case specifically since April, and it is now nearly the end of June. I would ask for the charge against Mr. Jackson to be dismissed for want of prosecution.
All right, I'll give one and only one reset for this deputy or officer to appear. What's the date?
July 11th at 9 a.m.
Is that date good for you, Ms. Correa and Ms. Rondon?
I will be in first appearance, but I can have another attorney from my office be here.
Your Honor, can I check, please?
Yes, ma'am.
July 11th is fine.
And what's the time again? I'm sorry. Did you say 9 a.m.?
Yes, Judge.
Okay, both at 9 a.m. All right, thank you, gentlemen. We'll see you on July the 11th at 9 a.m. We'll hear your prelim as long as you haven't bonded out.
On July the 11th, but it's only one final reset, and that's gonna be on the order. So if the officer does not come on that day, case is dismissed. If he's here, we'll go ahead and have the hearing until what happens then, okay? And then I will be by the jail.
And you can bring out Cassius Williams.
And this case between now and then.
Okay.
Okay, all right. You're welcome.
All right, we got Cassius Williams for, we'll go ahead and handle position 4 first because Officer Falcon is in the car.
That would be position 3, actually.
Okay,
Four right after.
all right, 3, he's in the car, okay. Officer, if you raise your right hand for me.
Grateful for the.
Officer Falcon, there you go. You swear affirm the testimony you're about to give is the
Do you
truth.
know the deduction's only based upon like a waiver of a prelim?
Yes, George. Good afternoon.
Nothing
Yes, ma'am.
but the truth. All right, have a seat. Detective, you can have a seat too.
It still has the
Is that-
$26,000 bond on the.
Detective, you can have a seat on the witness stand. We'll take you next. Just go ahead. and have a seat.
Okay.
She wants you to go ahead and have a seat right there.
All right, Officer Falcon, if you don't mind, can you say a couple of words for me just so make sure the court reporter can hear you?
How you doing this afternoon, Judge?
All right, good. State and spell your name for the court reporter, please.
I'm Officer Norman Falcon, Norman. Last name is Faulkcon.
All right, did you hear that, Madam Court Reporter?
Your Honor, would it be permissible for me to stay seated just because he's on Zoom? Okay.
All right, this one is going to be position 3, correct, Ms. Patton?
Yes, it is.
All right, 23 CP 217405. Got 81 days without indictment. Aggravated assault, possession of a knife or a firearm during the commission of a felony, false imprisonment, possession of cocaine, battery, and possession of marijuana less than an ounce. Cassius Williams. All right, so Detective, we'll take your case next. We're going to take the officer that's in the car first, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, go ahead, Ms. Patton.
Okay, thank you for being present via Zoom. Please just get my attention though if a call comes in, okay? I'll try to go as swiftly as possible. Okay, so Officer Falcon, pronounce your name one more time for me.
Officer Falcon.
Falcon? Okay.
Yes, Falcon.
Where are you currently employed?
The City of Atlanta Police Department.
And are you in a specific zone or a special division, anything like that?
Correct. I work in Zone 3 on patrol.
Okay. And how long have you been employed there?
Approximately 10 years now.
Okay. And were you employed there on or about April 1st, 2023?
Yes,
Okay. And are you post-certified?
I am.
And were you post-certified on or about April 1st, 2023?
I was.
Okay. How did you become aware of the defendant in this case, Mr. Williams?
Yes, ma'am. We received a 911 call in reference to a dispute where the anonymous call was stating that a female by the name of Kiki was being held against her will and threatened by a person named CJ. And the location was at 50 Mount Zion Road, which is here in Zone 3, apartment X is an X-ray 12.
Is that in Fulton County?
That is in Fulton County.
Okay.
So upon my arrival, I knocked on the door, to which the homeowner, Mr. John Jenkins, answered the door. I asked him if there was anybody there by the name of Kiki. At first, he said that it was only his niece there, but for further investigation, we did locate Kiki, whose real name is Kiana Graham. And in speaking with Ms. Graham, we learned that at approximately 7 o'clock that morning, CJ, whose name we learned to be Cassius Williams, had come home around 7 a.m. that morning and was calling for her. And in calling for her, she wasn't answering because she was asleep. And this is all from the victim's statement.
Okay.
The victim, then, Ms. Graham, then stated that Mr. Williams came into the bedroom where she was sleeping and began punching her in the face and in the head. When she tried to leave, Ms. Graham stated that Mr. Williams pointed a firearm at her in her face and not allowing her to leave. So when after we got there and I got this information from Ms. Graham, I was allowed to go in the resident to search for Mr. Williams by Mr. Jenkins.
And he's the owner of the residence or the
Mr. John
leaseholder?
Jenkins, yes. Yes,
Okay.
he's the leaseholder for that location.
Okay.
After gaining that permission from him, in a search of the property for Mr. Williams, he was located inside of a closet in a common area hallway. This was after giving several commands of Mr. Williams, if you're in here, come out with your hands up. And it took for us to locate him in the closet instead of him coming out.
Okay, I'm gonna go back a little bit here. Okay, so you said you were called. You and another officer. What was the other officer's name?
His name is Officer Gilbert.
Okay, and you were called by an anonymous 911 call. Is that typical?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, for people who want to, protect their identity, not be put in harm's way.
Okay, and that person stated that there was someone there being held against her will.
Correct.
You said correct. I'm sorry.
Yes.
Okay. So, and the person that you heard was being held against the will, it was named Kiki. That's all that you were given.
Correct.
When you first arrived on the scene, you said you met with John Jenkins. Did he indicate to you that there was a Kiki in the home?
At first, he did not. It took for us to talk to him a little bit and explain to him why we were there before telling us that Kiki was in the apartment and he had her come to the door.
Okay. But initially, did he tell you that no one was there of that name, or he just didn't say anything?
He told me that it was only his niece, whose name he did not give at the time, was in the apartment. He did not tell me that anybody else was in the apartment.
Okay. And when you arrived on the scene, was your body camera working?
Yes.
And was that submitted for evidence?
Yes.
Okay. So, Mr. Jenkins finally let you in and advised that his niece is there and someone named Kiki is there. And do you meet that person?
We did meet Kiki, Mrs. Graham.
What was her demeanor?
She appeared timid and shaken.
Okay. And what did she indicate to you?
She didn't want to speak at the door. So I took her to my patrol vehicle for safety reasons, because we still did not know if Mr. Williams was in the location or not. So while speaking to her by my patrol vehicle, this is when she informed me of the information that I just gave.
Okay. So where did you speak to her? Did you speak to her in your patrol vehicle?
Yes, she was in my patrol vehicle, if I remember correctly.
Did you speak to her, or did Officer Gilbert speak to her?
I spoke to her.
Okay. And what specifically did she indicate to you?
The same information, just that Mr. Williams had punched her in the face and head early that morning, and when she was trying to leave, he pointed the firearm in her face, not allowing her to leave the location.
Did she indicate to you the reasoning as to why that had happened?
The reason as to what led for Mr. Williams to keep her at the location?
And hitting her, correct.
So
there was an argument, or?
Right. So from Ms. Graham, or from what Ms. Graham told me is that Mr. Williams had come home around 7 o'clock that morning and was calling for her at the apartment. And I guess she wasn't answering. This is coming from her. She wasn't answering, so he came to the bedroom and woke her up. And I guess a argument started where he began punching her and hitting her.
Did you see any injuries to Miss Graham?
Ms. Graham did appear to have some bruising to the, I think it was like the left side of her face, if I remember correctly.
Okay. Just bruising, or was she bleeding or swelling?
I did not see any bleeding. I did see slight swelling and bruising around the left side of her face.
Okay. Once you heard the story from Miss Graham, then what happened?
That's when I went back with Officer Gilbert. We spoke with Mr. Jenkins, who gave us permission to go inside the home. And excuse me, I'm gonna backtrack a bit. When me and Officer Gilbert went to speak to Mr. Jenkins, Mr. Jenkins asked if we had a warrant to go into his home, in which we didn't have a warrant. We just had the 911 call. So Mr. Jenkins then stepped outside of the apartment and spoke with myself and Officer Gilbert near the stairs of this apartment complex. In speaking with Mr. Jenkins around there, he told us that Mr. Williams was inside of the location.
Did you go to the location after which?
Yeah, we went inside the location, and that's where we located Mr. Williams hiding inside of a closet.
Okay. Did you or Officer Gilbert perform the arrest on Mr. Williams?
Yes, we did detain him inside of the location.
Did you read him his Miranda warnings?
Mr. Williams, I cannot recall if I read him Miranda or not. I can't recall that right at this time.
Your Honor, I've got to get the defendant to stop talking so I can hear.
All right, sir, need to be quiet, okay?
I'm sorry, one more time, Officer Falcon.
Yeah, I can't recall. I can't recall if I read him his rights or not.
Okay.
Only because it was a lot of moving parts at that time. So
Understood. Did you have permission from Mr. Jenkins to enter into the house? I know you said
Yes.
you spoke to him to the side. Okay.
Yes.
Understood. Is the person that you arrested in this courtroom presently?
Yes.
I know you're looking from a Zoom. Can you describe the person with an article of clothing?
Yeah, he's gonna have a blue shirt and white undershirt, long sleeve undershirt underneath.
Is there anything else distinctive about him that you can point to, being that you're on Zoom?
Yeah, just a low haircut and beard.
Okay. Please let the record reflect that the witness has identified the defendant, Mr. Williams.
All right, record will so reflect.
Okay. Let's go back to your conversation you had with Miss Graham in the car. Did she indicate that Mr. Williams had a firearm?
She did indicate that he had a firearm. She actually told me that it was in a let me see if I can remember what she said. She said that it was in a blue bag, if I can remember correctly. A blue, like, the little satchels that people wear.
Okay. Did she
blue? Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Did she indicate that he owned that firearm?
She only indicated that the gun that he had pointed at her was in that bag.
Okay. Did you ever see the gun at any time?
I did. After we located the bag, I located the firearm inside the bag.
And what else was located in that bag?
There was about approximately like 20 grams of marijuana, and I believe there was like 4 or 5 grams of suspected cocaine.
And did you send those off to be tested?
I did.
Okay. And have you received results back yet?
I have not.
Okay. I know you said you've been an officer for about 10 years or so.
Yes.
How much experience with narcotics have you had?
I spent approximately 5 years on field investigations team where the primary direction was to investigate narcotic crimes. I spent some time doing that, being on that team, as well as I've been a part of a few different search warrants for narcotics. So
Okay.
I'm pretty familiar with them.
So, based on your training and experience, how do you tell the difference between something that's suspected cocaine versus baking soda?
Well, the cocaine is typically a white powdery substance where it's not normal to see anybody walking around with baking soda. And that's why we send it out to get tested to verify what it is we're seeing, what it is we found.
Do you recall how this 4 grams of suspected cocaine was packaged?
If I remember correctly, it was just in a small baggie.
A clear plastic baggie.
Yeah, clear plastic baggie, yeah.
And the suspected 20 grams of marijuana, was it in THC form, in leafy form? What do you recall what form it was in?
I believe it was in the leafy form, the green leafy form.
Okay. How are you able to tell the difference between marijuana and, bluegrass that you cut from a lawn?
It's always suspected marijuana until it gets tested. Marijuana has a distinct smell to it, being burnt or raw. And of course, regular lawn grass smells different.
Did you smell an odor?
And there was an odor of the suspected marijuana. And it was also in a small baggie, which is typical for anybody who is selling and or using marijuana.
Okay. Did you ever ask Mr. Williams about the contents of the bag, being the firearm and suspected narcotics?
I don't recall. I don't believe I did.
Okay. Mr. Williams has been charged with aggravated assault. And what is the probable cause basis for aggravated assault? Along with other charges, I'm just going to go down the line. What was your probable cause basis for the aggravated assault?
Correct. Mr. Williams had pointed a firearm in the face of Mrs. Graham.
Did anyone ever, oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, that's grounds for aggravated assault.
Okay. And did anyone ever confirm that other than Miss Graham?
If I can remember, I believe Mr. Jenkins witnessed the altercation, but I can't really recall if anybody else said anything.
Okay. And Mr. Williams has also been charged with the possession of a firearm or knife during commission of or attempt to commit certain felonies. What was your probable cause basis for that charge?
Correct. That's pointing the firearm in the face of Miss Graham.
Okay. Mr. Williams has also been charged with false imprisonment. What was your probable cause basis for that charge?
That's restricting the movement of Ms. Graham, refusing to allow her to leave.
Did Mr. Jenkins ever indicate to you that he witnessed that as well?
Mr. Jenkins, if I can remember correctly, he did advise that he was not letting her leave.
Okay. Mr. Williams has also been charged with possession of cocaine. What was your probable cause basis for that?
Correct. It was inside of the bag in which the firearm was located. which would have been in his possession.
He was holding the bag?
He wasn't holding the bag. It's where the gun was located.
Who indicated to you that it was his bag, though?
Miss Graham.
Okay. Did you find any other identifying information in the bag?
As far as identifying Mr. Williams, I didn't find like any mail or anything with his name on it. It's just Ms. Graham said that was his bag and it was located.
Okay. Mr. Williams has also been charged with battery. Please tell the court what your probable cause basis for battery is.
It would have been due to the punching or hitting Miss Graham in the face.
Okay. Which you stated prior left visible injuries, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Mr. Williams has also been charged with possession of marijuana less than 1 ounce. Please let the court know your probable cause basis for that charge.
Correct. That was also located in the bag with the firearm and the cocaine.
Is there anything else that you learned during your investigation that we have not covered here today?
Nothing at this time. No, ma'am.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
All right, Cross.
Good afternoon, officer. My name is Brian Olive. I represent Mr. Williams.
Good afternoon.
Thank you. So you mentioned that the alleged victim had injuries to her face when you were there. Was all this recorded on your body cam?
I'm sorry.
Yes.
I'm sorry. I didn't.
And is that, or how does
Brian, you got to speak up. The court reporter can't quite hear you.
Sorry.
You got to speak up. The court reporter can't hear you.
I asked if the officer had his body cam on to record the injuries from the alleged victim.
What was that?
Yes, it was recorded.
Can you repeat the question, the actual question?
Did you record the injuries that the alleged victim had on your body cam?
Yes.
Okay. And has all the video that was taken throughout this time been preserved in evidence?
Yes.
Okay. And so did Mr. Jenkins ever tell you that that was his apartment?
Did he ever tell me that was his apartment? Is that your
Right.
question?
It is.
Yes.
You got it. Sorry, I'm trying to just make sure she catches everything, because I think there's a little bit of a hearing issue here, but my apologies for interrupting you, but she said she caught that question.
Okay. So Mr. Jenkins that indicated that it was his apartment.
Mr. Jenkins did tell me that he was the leaseholder for the apartment. Yes.
Okay, so when you asked if you could go in the apartment to look for Mr. Williams or anybody else, did Mr. Jenkins ask if you had a warrant?
He did ask if I had a warrant. Yes.
And did you?
We did not at the time. No.
Okay. And so how did you enter did you just walk in after that?
No. So at the time when Mr. Jenkins asked if we had a warrant, we explained to him the reason for the call, in which he stepped out of the apartment and talked to us, maybe about 10 feet away from his door. And that's when he was explaining to us that Williams was inside of the location. And that's when he gave us permission to go inside the location to locate Mr. Williams.
All right. So he basically said, yeah, instead of having a warrant, you're welcome to go in.
Yeah, correct.
Okay. All right. Where was the blue bag located again? I'm sorry. Well, let me rephrase that. Was it located in the closet with Mr. Williams?
The blue bag, if I can remember correctly, it was located in a bedroom where Graham and Mr. Williams shared the room.
Okay, so it was with the alleged victim. It was in the bedroom. Um,
You need him to repeat the question?
yes, I asked if the blue bag was in the bedroom with Miss Graham when she was there alone, I guess.
I can't advise on if the bag was in there when Miss Graham was asleep. I can't advise that.
Well, I mean, when you entered there, where you
When I
said that,
entered the property.
yes.
Yeah, so after Mr. Williams was detained, we located that bag in a bedroom where Mr. Williams and Ms. Graham shared the room.
Okay. But just to be clear, it was not in the closet with Mr. Williams.
No,
blue
I
bag.
don't believe so. No.
Okay. I have no further questions.
All right, anything else?
Just one thing. You just stated that the blue backpack was located in a room shared by Miss Graham and Mr. Williams. How do you know they shared that room together?
There was clothing. If I can remember correctly, there was clothing that belonged to Mr. Williams. There was another suitcase, if I can remember, that belonged to Miss Graham.
Did anybody ever
They were
indicate to you that they shared that room?
they were boyfriend and girlfriend. Mr. Jenkins explained to me that was their room.
Okay. And Mr. Jenkins is the leaseholder, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Nothing further for this witness, Your Honor.
All right, anything else?
No, Your Honor.
All right, thank you, officer. Stay safe out there.
Thank you, you too.
All right, you want to go ahead with the argument?
I would say, obviously, probable cause is a very low standard to meet. As far as what the testimony of the officer, we submit to the everything except for the possession of a firearm. Well, I take that back. I'm sorry. We would say that the officer never had any clear evidence that Mr. Williams had possession of the firearm or the drugs, other than that of the testimony of the alleged, or when he interviewed the alleged victim. So we would just ask to not find probable cause on any of the charges, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right, go ahead, Ms. Patton.
State would argue that probable cause has been established for all of the listed charges. The witness did testify that he spoke to the victim and the victim indicated that he had pointed a gun, that the gun was in a blue backpack and a blue backpack was found with a gun and other drugs in it. Oh, I'm so sorry. You want me to go back or go back? Okay. The state would ask that you find probable cause. Officer testified that he spoke to the victim who stated the defendant had a gun. Victim also stated to the officer that the gun would be located in a blue backpack that did belong to the defendant. Officer testified that he was able to locate that backpack and the subsequent gun and the subsequent narcotics that was found. Probable cause was a low burden, as stated already. The state would ask that you find probable cause on all the listed charges.
All right, I'm going to find probable cause on all the charges. 81 days without indictment. Do you want to be heard on bond?
Yes, Your Honor.
Free trial.
She's
Mr. Cassius Williams, 7 prior arrests, conviction is a 2018 battery family violence out of Clayton, 2 counts. Currently open case 23 SC 183593 aggravated battery firearm during firearm by assigned to Judge Ingram. 23 CP 217603.
Officer Bostic, hold on. Okay, okay.
What did she say?
So she's needing you to go a little slower so that she can take it down. There is kind of, you can't hear as well in here.
Miss Watts, could you call IT, ask them to turn that speaker up?
I think they did because you're louder now. If you just slow down a little bit, I'll probably. Did you hear Ms. Bostic?
Yes.
Okay.
And I found probable cause on all counts. Go ahead, Bostic.
Open case, 3 open cases for violence. Nothing further.
Go ahead, Mr. Olaf.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Williams is 24. He's about to turn 25 tomorrow. He was born and raised in Atlanta. His family's here, his brother, his uncle, his cousin, his aunt. The good address would be 1940 Fisher Road, Fisher Road. That's Atlanta, 30315. He'd be staying there with his aunt. He made it to the 10th grade. Prior to being incarcerated, he was working as a brick mason for 2 years, building houses. We would just ask for a reasonable bond in this matter, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right, go ahead, Ms. Patton.
Your Honor, the state would ask that this case stay in a no bond status. Pretrial just read out that this defendant has 3 open violent cases, of which he also has multiple family violence cases. This defendant has a significant likelihood to reoffend. This defendant poses as a risk or threat of intimidation to the victim and witnesses. The state would ask that you not grant a bond in this case. However, if Your Honor is inclined to set a bond above the state's objection, we ask that the bond in total be no less than $100,000, with Your Honor's discretion on how to break down the numbers assigned. That an ankle monitor be fitted with a 24-hour curfew, exception of medical and legal, no contact with victim Kiana
Graham.
Sorry, I had
Okay.
Kiana Graham, no contact with John Jenkins, and a stay away from 50 Mount Zion Road Southeast, and that's in Fulton County.
And if I may, I accidentally said that he's about to be 25 tomorrow. It'll be a month from tomorrow. My mistake. Thank you.
All right, no worries. No drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. No further contact with Kiana, Qiana Graham, Graham. Stay away from 50 Mount Zion Boulevard Southeast. You'll have an ankle monitor paid for by the county with a 24-hour curfew, except for court, meeting with lawyers, medical exams, employment, as long as you supply the name of your employer, proof of employment schedule, and the exact location you're going to be working, and also basic life necessities. Now, this bond order is going to go into effect in 10 days. In the event it's not indicted, it will go into effect in 10 days, which will be second. And I think, Embria, I think they want the case manager or litigation manager to hold on to it when they send it. So that's
Okay.
so. Let's see, go into effect July 1st. It'll go into effect in July 1st. So on 30,000, 10,000, 30,000, 5,000, 10,000, and UJR jail. 30,000, 10,000, 30,000, 5,000, 10,000, and UJR jail. That'll go into effect July 1st in the event you haven't been indicted. So we'll go on to his next case. Detective, if you raise your right hand,
Yes, ma'am.
you swear affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth, whole truth, nothing but the truth.
Yes, ma'am.
You state and spell your name for the court reporter.
My name is Detective Mustafa Spellos, M as in Mary, U as in umbrella, S as in Sam, T as in Tom, A as in apple, P as in Paul, H as in Henry, A as in apple.
All right, this is 23 CP 217490. Cassius Williams, 81 days without indictment, got aggravated assault and possession of a firearm or a knife during the commission of certain felonies. Go ahead, Ms. Patton.
Thank you, Your Honor. Hello, Detective Mustafa.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
How are you?
I am good.
Good to hear. Where are you currently employed? God bless you.
I'm currently employed with City of Atlanta, ma'am. I'm assigned to major crimes, aggravated assault unit.
Okay. And how long have you been employed there?
I've been employed for the department as a whole about 14 and a half years or more, but on this assignment, the department as a whole, I've been employed for about 14 years, ma'am, plus more. No, Department of City of Atlanta Police Department. Yes, ma'am. 14 years, yes, ma'am.
Were you employed with the City of Atlanta on or about March 14th, 2023?
Yes, ma'am.
And are you post-certified?
Yes, ma'am.
And were you post-certified on or about March 14th, 2023?
Yes, ma'am, I was post-certified.
How did you become aware of the defendant, Mr. Williams?
On the 14th of March, I believe, we received a call from the zone, one of the zone officers, primary officers that had responded to that location. Due to where the location happened, we had to go back and do a follow-up. So he notified us and we went out to the scene, ma'am.
Okay. And what were you called out for?
I was called out to do a follow-up on an incident that happened the day before, which is on the 13th of March, around between the hours of 8 p.m., between 7:30 to 8 p.m., ma'am.
Okay. And what was the incident that had happened the day before?
The incident that happened, ma'am, apparently the victim, Mr. Armbruster, was assaulted by the accused, Mr. Williams.
Can you spell the name Brewster? I'm probably mispronouncing it. Armbruster.
Yes, ma'am. Armbruster spells A as in apple, I as in Robert, M as in Mary, B as in boy, R as in Robert, E as in Edward, S as in Sam, T as in Tom, E as in Edward, R as in Robert.
Okay. Armbruster. Okay. Okay. So you stated that you were called for a person shot, that person being Mr. Armbruster.
Yes, ma'am. On that evening of the 13th, between 7:30 to 8, Mr. Armbruster was had gone outside to his vehicle with a female, with one of the witnesses who was over there with him. While they were out there, the accused, Ms. Cassius, came by with a female by the name of Kiki. At the time, we knew her as Kiki. They walked by over here. Mr. Williams got in a conversation with the victim. From there on, then they got into the victim at some point in time told him, noticing that the accused did have a weapon on him, told him to put his weapon down. And the accused then gave his weapon to Miss Kiki, who we known as his girlfriend, and they got in a physical fight. The victim got the best of the suspect. And after that, the witness, Miss Tamika, walked with the victim. They went back inside. Just so you know, the victim is a security guard at the location.
Okay. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
And this location, where was this location? You said he's a security guard. Where was he a security guard at?
He was a security guard at 355 Peachtree Road. which is the Imperial Hotel, is for folks that go on 2 times. So he was a security guard. His security booth was inside the building.
And is that in Fulton County?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So after him, the victim and Miss Tamika, I believe you said was the other person's name, walked in to the building, then what happened?
Then while they were in there, suddenly from nowhere, they had gunshots, and the victim took cover. But then, noticing that the shots was coming from outside, he suspected that it was it was the accused that was firing the gunshots. So he went ahead and fired a single shot after he took cover, ma'am.
Okay.
After he went inside, ma'am, noticing there was shots coming from outside, the victim took cover, and he also fired one shot going outside towards where the shots were coming from.
Did the victim ever indicate to you that he saw anyone shoot the gun?
He didn't indicate that, but after reviewing the surveillance, they did notify us saying that it was the suspect that fired his gun from outside.
What evidence did he review?
They do have surveillance cameras out there, ma'am, and after they reviewed the camera, he did confirm that it was Mr. Williams that fired shots from outside.
Did you see that video footage?
I saw that video footage in very much. Yes, ma'am, I did see the footage.
Was it submitted for evidence?
Yes, ma'am.
And in the footage, is it black and white or is it in color?
No, ma'am, it's in black and white.
Okay. Is there a night vision feature on it?
It might have the night vision, but not too much of a high quality.
Were you able to recognize the defendant on the footage?
I was able to recognize from his height, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And you got a description of his height from who?
We got a description of his height from the victim.
Oh, okay. Do you see the person on the video in the courtroom today?
Judge, permission, I'm gonna need to get up from this place.
Oh,
and
please.
Look
Yeah,
at it.
please stand up.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Please indicate whether they are on my left or on my right and identify them with an article of clothing.
The individual is on your right. He has on a white V t-shirt and a long sleeve white shirt underneath, ma'am.
Okay. Please let the record reflect that the defendant, or excuse me, that the witness has identified the defendant, Mr. Williams. Judge Manning, you're on mute. I'm not sure if you.
Sorry, the record will so reflect.
Okay. I'm just used to hearing that right after.
No, sorry about that.
No problem. Okay, so let's go back. When you said you were called to follow up on a shots fired call, correct?
Yes, ma'am. The incident that happened the day before. Yes, ma'am.
And did you speak to the victim?
Yes, ma'am. I spoke with the victim. When I got over there, the victim was not there, but I did spoke with the victim on the phone.
Okay. And who was there when you first got there?
When I got there, ma'am, it was the witness, Miss Tamika Walker was over there when I got to the scene.
Did you have body cam on when you spoke to Miss Tamika Walker?
I do believe the officer was close by, so the officer probably could have recorded that conversation, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. I do believe the primary officer probably was there.
And would that footage have been submitted for evidence?
Yes, ma'am.
And what did Miss I've forgotten what you said her last name was.
Miss Walker.
Miss Walker. What did Miss Walker indicate to you?
Miss Walker advised me that she was there when the incident happened. As a matter of fact, she was outside with the victim by the car when the incident happened.
Okay. And did she indicate to you what this argument had started over?
Well, this argument and everything started over from another incident where the security guard had to get involved in. And this was a domestic issue. I believe there's another case number for that one also, ma'am. So the security guard intervened. I think it happened about a week prior or 2 weeks prior to this day. The security guard intervened, and so that's where this problem started from.
A domestic issue between who and who?
So it was a domestic issue, man, where Mr. Cassius Williams used to stay in an apartment. Used to live with the victim is Riley. This is another incident that happened upstairs in the same building. And apparently when they came downstairs with that, that's where the security guard got involved in all this.
Oh, okay. So, but the separate domestic incident, that wasn't, the security guard was intervening. It wasn't between him.
No, ma'am.
Necessarily. He was just intervening.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. So the security guard had dealt with Mr. Williams before.
Multiple times. Yes, ma'am.
So he was able to recognize him.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Do you know if anyone was injured from the shot being fired?
Nobody was injured at that time, ma'am.
Were you able to locate a firearm?
I was able to locate a firearm down the road, ma'am, but not on that day, not on the day when we got there, no, ma'am.
What day did you locate a firearm?
2 weeks from this day, I believe, on Officer Falco that just did a testimony. That firearm, we found 9mm shell casings on my incident.
Okay.
And the gun that was located when Officer Falco made contact with the accused, I believe on the first, that gun was a 9mm handgun, ma'am.
Okay. So the bullets you found. Oh, I'm sorry.
The gun that was located was a 9mm handgun.
So the bullets that were found at the March incident were for a 9mm handgun.
The shell casings.
The shell casings.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, understood. Understood. Did you ever ask Mr. Williams about this situation?
Yes, ma'am. If you don't mind me, let me give a precise date. I believe,
So you can look at it to refresh your memory,
Yes.
but you have to, look up when you testify.
yes, ma'am.
Okay.
So on the day Officer Falco made contact when they notified us because they became aware that he was involved in another incident. So they notified us. I was at headquarters, then I relocated Zone 3 headquarters.
Okay.
And read him his Miranda rights. I tried to talk with him, but he kept denying everything.
By denying everything, do you mean he did not want to speak to you, or he specifically said none of this happened?
None of this happened, basically. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Did he say anything else other than that?
I tried to leave later on, and he called me back, but I told him since he said he don't want to talk to me no more, so I left.
Okay. And that was after you read him his Miranda
Yes,
warnings?
ma'am.
Understood. Was your interaction with Mr. Williams recorded?
Yes, certainly. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and was that submitted for evidence?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And forgive me for asking, but I can't remember at this time. The incident location you said was at an apartment building, correct?
Yes, ma'am. It's still you say like an apartment or condominium, high rising.
Okay, and that is located in Fulton County.
Yes, ma'am. 355 Peachtree Street.
Understood. Mr. Williams, as you have charged him, has been charged with 1 count of aggravated assault. What was your probable cause basis for that charge?
Probable cause basis is for Mr. Williams finding a handgun inside the building directed towards where the security guard was at the time, specifically.
Was there any damage to the building?
Yes, ma'am. The glass was shattered completely, and all the glass behind the security booth was shattered.
Okay, so
The whole
glass everywhere.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Mr. Williams has also been charged by you with possession of firearm or knife during commission of or attempt to commit certain felonies. Please let the court know what your probable cause basis for that was.
We found out that Mr. Williams was a convicted felon, ma'am, so that's why we did that. Possession of firearm during commission of felony.
I'm so sorry. It's so much going on that I'm trying to. I'm sorry. I'm trying to lock into you.
That's fine.
Okay. And I'm going to go back and repeat the question. My apologies. Possession of firearm or knife during commission of attempt to commit certain felonies. What was your probable cause basis for that charge?
The probable cause for that was that he was in possession of a firearm during the commission of a felony, ma'am.
Okay. The aggravated assault.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Understood. Is there anything else that you learned during your investigation that we've not covered here today?
It was a lot, but not quite, ma'am. It was a lot.
A lot.
It was a lot, ma'am, but not quite. I think we good.
Okay.
It was a lot, ma'am, but we good. Everything was covered so far.
Was Ms. Baker ever injured from the shot being fired?
No, ma'am.
But she was there when it happened?
You say Ms. Baker or Ms.
Ms. Baker, I'm sorry, Walker, Tamika.
No, ma'am, she wasn't injured from there, but she was in there when their shots were fired, ma'am.
Okay, so she was present?
Yes.
Okay. Did Ms. Walker or the victim ever indicate to you that they specifically saw the defendant holding a firearm?
Yes, ma'am.
And when exactly did they indicate that?
They indicated that when they were outside by the car, when the accused force approached them, but then that's when the accused took his firearm and gave it to, then Miss Kiki.
Okay.
Who's my female girlfriend named Miss Kiki.
Did you ever speak to Kiki?
Yes, I did, ma'am.
And did she indicate to you anything about this incident?
So I spoke with Miss Kiki again when I met about 2 weeks after this incident.
Okay.
I spoke with Miss Kiki at 50 miles down when Officer Falco's incident. When I responded over there, I was able to talk with Miss Kiki while my body camera was on, and the entire conversation was recorded. That's when she confessed everything to me, ma'am.
And what do you mean confessed everything specifically?
Okay, she told me what happened. She told me she was out there. She told me the accused did have a weapon, gave her the weapon. And yes, it was the accused that fired the handgun after the victim and the witness, Miss Walker, have gone back inside the building. It was the accused that fired the shots inside the building.
Okay. Did she say how many shots were fired?
I cannot recall, but she did say shots were fired inside the building.
Multiple, more than one?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Nothing further from this witness, Your Honor.
All right, Cross.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good afternoon, Detective. My name is Brian Olive. I represent Mr. Williams. You mentioned that you spoke with Kiki. Was this after the incident in the apartment from the last case that we were talking about?
Yes, that's correct, sir.
Okay. So you spoke to her after she and Mr. Williams have been fighting?
Say that again, sir.
You spoke to Kiki and Mr. Williams. I'm sorry, you spoke to Kiki after she and Mr. Williams have been fighting. Is that correct?
I spoke to Miss Kiki 2 weeks after the incident, on Officer Falco's incident. That's what I spoke with Miss Kiki.
Okay. In the video, the black and white video, you said you identified Mr. Williams based on his height. Is it just his height only? Or could you clearly identify his face?
From the black and white picture, sir, you cannot clearly identify his face, but from his height structure and the afro and beard, you can partially see that on there, sir.
You also mentioned that you found 9mm shells at the 255 Peachtree Street. And there was a 9mm at the apartment complex from Officer Falco's case.
So when I got there on the 14th, when I got there on the 14th, right? When we doing the canvassing with the officer, we locate one shell casing, which was a 9mm. It was turned in as evidence. But the day before, I do believe the officers that were out there recovered about 3 shell casings, which were turned in. And the 9mm shell casings, the gun that was recovered 2 weeks later on at inside the apartments of Mr. Jenkins was a 9mm handgun. We waiting for those results to come back.
Got it. And as far as results, do you mean
ballistics evidence?
Ballistics and fingerprints and that sort of thing?
Yes, sir, ballistics. Yes, sir.
What about fingerprints?
I don't know about the fingerprints yet. I haven't checked on the fingerprints results yet, but the ballistics we're waiting on that.
Okay. So where did Kiki ever say where she took the firearm after Mr. Williams gave it to her?
On the day of the incident, says when the accused gave her the firearm, she held the firearms while the accused and the victim engaged in a physical fight. Then later on, I believe she did give the accused the handgun afterwards.
But just to be clear, I'm trying to follow this. You're saying that Mr. Williams gave the firearm to Miss Kiki, and then later on, Kiki gave the firearm back to Mr. Williams?
Yeah, she retrieved he retrieved the firearms from Miss Kiki afterwards.
Okay, and she told you that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, no further questions.
All right. Anything else on redirect?
Nothing further from the state, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you, Detective Mustafa.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Stay safe out there.
Yes,
All right.
ma'am. Yes, Judge.
Stay with the argument.
No argument, Your Honor.
All right. Says the state.
I think the state would ask that this court find probable cause for the 2 charges listed of aggravated assault and possession of a firearm during commission of certain felonies. Officer has testified that the victim and a subsequent witness identified the defendant as the shooter. Also, another witness later on came to confirm that it wasn't in fact the defendant as the shooter. Probable cause has been established that through aggravated assault and possession of a firearm or knife during commission of or attempt to commit certain felonies, and the state would ask that the court find as such.
All right, I'll find probable cause on both counts. We can address, I've already heard from pretrial. We can address bond. Go ahead, Mr. Olive.
Would you like for me to go over the YALA factors again?
I remember them. I wrote them down if you just want to.
Yeah, I mean, I would just start, that he would be entitled to bond in 10 more days. So we would request for you to go ahead and set a bond that would go into effect on the 1st. And we would just, based on the bonds that he already has in place, he's already at 110,000, if my math is correct, between the other 2 cases. So we would just ask for you not to exceed $10,000 on this case, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right, go ahead, Ms. Patton.
Similarly to my argument before, this defendant has 3 open violent cases. He serves as a danger to the community, a danger to the victim, and as a significant likelihood to reoffend. The state would ask that you leave this in a no bond status. However, if you are inclined to set a bond above the state's objection, state would ask that it would be no less than $50,000 $40,000 on the aggravated assault, $10,000 on the possession of a firearm or knife during commission of or attempt to commit certain felonies, an ankle monitor attached with a 24-hour curfew, exceptions of legal, medical, no further contact with the victims listed in the warrant, Mr. Benny Armbruster and Miss Tamika Walker. Also, no further contact with Kiana Graham, and a stay away from 355 Peachtree Street Northeast. That's in Atlanta.
All right. No drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons, no further contact with Kiana Graham, Tamika Walker. Now it's pulling up. Can you, Benny, can you spell that last name for the court reporter?
I can spell it.
It's ARM, I'm sorry, but
ARMBRESTER.
All right, thank you.
Name is Benny, BENNY.
Thank you. My Odyssey just pulled up. It was going slow. Stay away from 355 Peachtree Street. You're going to have an ankle monitor paid for by the county with a 24-hour curfew. Court, lawyer, medical, employment, as long as you supply the name of your employer, proof of employment schedule, and the exact location you're going to be working, and basic life necessities. This will go into effect July 1st, 2023. 40,000 count one, 10,000 count two. Best of luck to you, sir.
and I believe that concludes my business for the day, Your Honor. May I be excused?
Yes, sir. Have a good day.
I do the same.
All right, which is next, Miss Patton?
Best to do position 9, just because you have 2 people, sorry. We'll do position 9 with Detective Wakeman.
Kenneth Pack.
Yep.
So, Mr. Luwumba isn't here for DeAndre King unless is he in the courtroom?
No.
No, Your Honor.
All right.
Thank you for coming by.
This Joker get attempted murder charge.
Yes.
He's
in
an
the States.
He's an asshole.
Yeah, he's on fire for attempted murder charge.
You see how mad he is right now?
Yeah.
He's represented by another attorney in my office, so I don't represent him, but my colleague does.
You should go with that.
Well, he's not going anywhere.
Yeah, exactly.
Kenneth Pack.
Coming by.
Yeah, sure.
All right, let's see. Officer, if you'll raise your right hand. You swear affirm testimony you're about to give is the truth, whole truth, nothing but the truth.
I do.
All right, you state your name, spell it for the court reporter, please.
Ryan, RYAN, Wakeman, WAKEMAN.
All right, thank you. Stand by till we get Mr. Pack out here.
Yes, Your Honor.
So the officer's here for position 2, correct?
Your Honor, I'm sorry. It's a lot going on in the courtroom presently.
So Mr. Luwumba's not here, but the officer's here for DeAndre King, correct?
I have officer here for position 1 and 2. I'm sorry, one more time.
I said, I'm sorry, it's loud.
Oh, okay. Okay, yeah.
All right, so
I know you don't want it to be loud.
which officer is here for position 2?
Officer Simon.
DeAndre King. All right.
He's here, but position 1 and 2 are the same officer.
Okay, well, all right, well, we're gonna have to reset Mr. King because Mr. Luwumba's not here.
Okay.
Ms. Watts, what's that date?
Wednesday, it's gonna be July 11th at 9 a.m.
Officer for Mr. King, is July the 11th at 9 a.m. Does that work for you?
She's talking to you. That day's not gonna work for him.
Okay. Is he off? Is he?
What? Promotional exam?
Okay.
Oh, okay.
What's the date after that, Miss Watts?
We're here for your preliminary hearing today. Okay. Yes. July 12th, Judge, at 9 a.m.
All right, officer, does July 12th work?
Yes, that's fine.
Mr. Morgan.
Was Mr. Luwamba not noticed of the?
Well, yeah, he was here, but the officer wasn't here because there were shots fired, so.
Yeah. Yeah.
So to be July, okay, so position 22 CP 211410, DeAndrew King for armed robbery. That'll be reset to July the 12th at 9 a.m. And we'll get you on the next one right after this. All right, this is Kenneth Pack, 23 CP 217629, 70 days without indictment, 2 counts of burglary, smash, and grab. And it's the officer Ryan Wakeman has been previously sworn. Go ahead, Miss Patton. Go
I'm
ahead, Miss
sorry.
Patton.
I'm sorry, Your Honor. I'm waiting because I'm trying to ensure everyone's safe in the courtroom. There's something happening right outside of it.
Right outside the door. Did the deputies go out there?
One of them did.
Your Honor, Mr. King's family is here and they're just upset that the case has been continued for the 4th time. That's all. She was hoping that this hearing would go forward today and that Mr. Luwamba would be here.
Yeah, I understand that. I don't know where Mr. Luwamba is.
I sent him a text message at the number I have to see, if he would be present for this hearing, and I didn't hear back from him. But she's simply upset that she's been waiting since 1 and no hearings happening.
Sure, I totally understand.
Understood too. It's just we've had too much going on right now. So,
all right, go ahead, Ms. Patton.
Okay. Hi, Detective Wakeman.
Hello.
How are you?
Doing well.
All righty. Where are you currently employed?
The Fairburn Police Department,
And how long have you been employed there?
approximately 8 years.
Are you assigned to a specific zone or special division?
I'm the sergeant over the Criminal Investigation Division.
Okay. And so Sergeant Wakeman then.
Detective Sergeant, Detective's fine.
Okay.
too.
I want to make sure I get your title correct. Were you employed there on or about September 21st, 2020?
I was.
And are you post-certified?
I am.
And were you post-certified on or about September 21st, 2020?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And please indicate to us how you became aware of the defendant.
So on September 21st, 2020, officers responded to a smash and grab burglary at the Taco Bell located at 7910 Sonoya Road in Fairburn. Senoia, Senoia. That's located in Fairburn, Fulton County. During that investigation, I was able to pull video of the incident, which showed a tan and color Honda sedan arrive. The driver got out, who's later identified as Calvin MacArthur. That subject broke the window of the drive-through and tried to snatch the cash drawer out, but he couldn't. Once he determined that there was no cash in it, he dropped it, got back in the car left. He was on scene approximately 3 minutes. The car then proceeded to a Dairy Queen up the street with the address of 8045 Sonoya Road. Okay, at that time, the rear passenger got out of the vehicle. That subject was later identified as Kenneth Pack. Mr. Pack, walked up to the drive-through window, turned around, went back to the car, got a hoodie, put it on, proceeded to the window and began hitting the window with an object. As the car went around the store, which they all met again at the drive-through window, Mr. MacArthur got out of the car. Mr. Pack handed him the crowbar or the item. I don't know what it was. The item. Mr. MacArthur then began to smash the window while Mr. Pack acted as a lookout. Once Mr. MacArthur made entry, Mr. Pack ended up throwing a rock through the window, taking a tablet at the time. They then got in the vehicle and left the scene. And later during my investigation, I met with a investigator with Douglas County, who advised he had identified both subjects. He gave the names of Mr. MacArthur and Mr. Pack. I looked at pictures from his incident and positively identified as the same subjects from our incidents. That's how I got their information.
Okay. I'm going to go back here a little bit. You said the Dairy Queen was on Sonoya Road as well.
Correct.
Is that in Fulton County as well?
Correct.
Okay. And how did you know that there were subsequent incidents?
I was contacted by investigator Finney with Atlanta PD, and they about Finney. I apologize. I'll get you his name spelled. Finney.
You can continue.
And he advised that Atlanta had a similar incident involving the same vehicle.
Okay. And that vehicle was what?
A tan in color Honda sedan.
Okay. And did you ever look at any, or let me back up. Was there ever any video footage or surveillance of these incidents?
Yes, ma'am.
And did you take a look at them?
I did.
And what did you see?
The footage shows, for the Taco Bell shows the vehicle arrive, Mr. MacArthur get out and start hitting the window. He makes entry. He fumbles with the cash drawer for a minute. Ultimately, he can't snatch it out the window, so he ends up getting access enough to see that it was empty, drops it on the ground, gets in the car. They leave towards the direction of Dairy Queen.
Okay, you're saying they leave. Who's the other person?
Don't know who was in the front passenger seat, and I don't recall anybody being visible in the back seat.
Okay, so this car travels from Taco Bell to Dairy Queen, and then what do you see?
Once they arrive at Dairy Queen, approximately 2 minutes gap, you could see them at the red light right there at the intersection of Sonoya Road and Meadow Glen Parkway. They arrive, the Meadow Glen Parkway, 3 words. They arrive, the rear passenger gets out of the vehicle, who was later identified as Mr. Pack. Mr. Pack walks up to the drive-through window, turns around, goes back to the car, gets a hoodie, goes back to the window, and begins hitting the window with an item. As he's doing that, the suspect vehicle goes around the entire building and meets him at the drive-through window, where Mr. MacArthur gets out. Mr. Pack hands Mr. MacArthur the item. Mr. MacArthur then hits the window while Mr. Pack is acting as a lookout. I can't remember if it's once entry's made or if it's simultaneous, but at one point, Mr. Pack picks up a rock, throws it through the window, and then grabs a tablet out of the window.
Okay. So in between the Taco Bell and the Dairy Queen, you said approximately 2 minutes had passed, and you know that from the footage?
Correct.
Okay. So there are timestamps on this footage.
Correct.
And at any point in time in this 2 minutes, do you see anyone exit the vehicle?
No, ma'am.
So from Taco Bell to Dairy Queen, nobody gets out the car?
To my knowledge.
Okay. The footage that you saw, was it in color or was it in black and white?
I believe it's in color.
Okay. And you stated that at the Dairy Queen, you were able to identify Mr. Pack. And are you able to identify him by his face? What are you seeing that's identifying him?
Identified him from Douglas County, advising that they had a similar incident on the same day. And I looked at their pictures from their incident, and it was the same subjects.
Okay, understood. Is the person you saw on that video in the courtroom presently? And please feel free to stand.
Yes, mask stand.
Yeah, sure.
Could we have everyone remove masks?
Oh, yeah, Judge, can we have everyone remove their mask, please?
Yes, if everybody room their mask, please.
Yes, ma'am.
So they are in the courtroom presently. Please tell me if they are on my left or on my right and identify them with an article of clothing.
On your right, the article of clothing would be a gray undershirt with long sleeves.
Okay. Please let the record reflect that the witness has identified the defendant, Mr. Pack.
All right, the record will so reflect.
Okay, let's go back. So you stated you saw Mr. Pack using a object to hit the window of the Dairy Queen.
Correct.
Did you get a good idea of what it looked like?
I don't recall, potentially crowbar type item.
Do you recall about how long the item was?
Approximately 12 to 18 inches.
Okay. Was there any damage to the windows of the Dairy Queen?
Yes.
Okay. And by damage, did the glass shatter? Was it just dented?
It was shattered.
Okay. Did any alarms go off that you could hear?
I don't recall.
Okay. Did you ever speak to any employee of the Dairy Queen or the Taco Bell?
I did.
And what did you learn from them?
That their establishment was broken into.
Okay. And did they say any items were missing?
I don't recall. If you give me a moment, I can check the report.
Sure.
So I don't have any listed items for Taco Bell, but I have a list of items from Dairy Queen.
Okay. Go ahead and state what those are.
Just the stolen items.
Sure.
Okay. $150 in cash and a tablet.
Did they say what kind of tablet it was?
Just that it belonged to Uber Eats. To Uber Eats. Or it was an Uber Eats tablet.
Do you know approximately how much those tablets would cost?
It advises $350.
Okay.
Approximate.
The damage to the windows that you saw, did anyone advise you how much it would cost to replace those?
It's not listed for the Taco Bell report. For the Dairy Queen report, it advises approximately $1,500.
Okay, to replace those windows?
Correct.
Okay. Did anyone advise you that Mr. Pack had been given permission to be at either the Taco Bell or the Dairy Queen?
No, ma'am.
Did they state that he was a former employee?
Not to my knowledge.
Did they state that they told him he could have the tablet?
Not to my knowledge, no.
Did you perform the arrest on Mr. Pack?
I did not.
Do you know who did?
It appears Officer Watts.
Okay. Is body camera footage typically on when you guys are making arrests?
Yes,
And is that typically submitted for evidence?
it should be. Yes, ma'am.
And you may not know precisely, but has evidence been submitted in this case from body cam footage?
To my knowledge.
Okay. And were your conversations with the employees, were those recorded?
I don't recall.
Okay. Did you ever have any of the employees well, let me ask that another way. Who showed you the footage of the incidents?
I believe the managers or whoever was managing at the time I went to the location.
Okay. And did they indicate to you that they knew Mr. Pack in any way?
No.
Okay. Mr. Pack has been charged with 2 counts of burglary, smash, and grab. What was the probable cause basis for those charges?
The probable cause basis for the Taco Bell would be that one would presume he would be in the vehicle at the time based upon the vehicle leaving straight from Taco Bell and arriving at Dairy Queen, which case he gets out and assist with the commission of the crime itself.
Okay. And the second burglary, smash, and grab?
Actual assisting with the smashing and the theft and everything.
Okay. And just to clarify, no one left the vehicle from the Taco Bell to the Dairy Queen?
To my knowledge, no.
Okay. Is there anything else you learned in this investigation that we've not covered here today?
Not that I can think of.
I know you said you spoke to Douglasville regarding
Douglas County.
Douglas
I believe it
County.
was.
Okay, Douglas County, and they provided you with the footage from their incidents.
I reviewed pictures of it.
Okay.
And from those pictures, they were the same subjects as from our incident. Their incident was the same day as ours.
Okay. Did they tell you how they had identified Mr. Pack?
I don't recall.
Okay. Okay, nothing further.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, Cross.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I'm going to apologize right out the gate for going back over some things. You guys went very fast and I couldn't keep up with my notes. So to start at the top, did you respond to the Taco Bell on Sonoya Road?
I did.
Okay. And you responded on September 21st, 2020? Okay. What time did you respond?
I don't have the time down. It was there during the morning hours.
Okay. And you met with employees who reported a burglary?
I don't recall if the employees were on scene at that time. I met with the initial officer.
Okay, so was anyone who worked at Taco Bell, a manager, anybody present?
Initially, I'm not sure, but I did speak with them eventually. I don't know what time they arrived.
Okay, so you responded and other officers were already on scene.
Correct.
Who was already on scene?
Officer Flippin.
Can you spell that, please?
Officer Flippin, Flippin.
Okay. And your investigation brought you to surveillance footage?
Yes, ma'am.
Where were these cameras located at the Taco Bell?
Exterior cameras facing around the building, as well as an interior camera facing the drive-through window. Exterior cameras that are positioned around the building, and then an interior camera facing the drive-through window.
So one camera was inside the restaurant, kind of looking out the drive-through window. Is that accurate?
Correct.
And then there are various cameras around the building, kind of pointed either at the building or in the parking lot.
Correct.
Okay. And that video showed you a tan Honda sedan.
Yes, ma'am.
Were you able to get a little bit more detail? What kind of Honda other than just sedan?
Upon further investigation, I was able to locate the vehicle on tag readers in the area at the time.
Sure. What was that tag?
I apologize.
Oh, no worries. Take your time.
All right, it's North Carolina tag Papa Delta Yankee 9922.
Did you find out who owned that vehicle or who the vehicle was registered to?
I did.
Who was that?
Registered to, at the time I was registered to Gail Stackhouse, STACKHOUSE, Hudson, HUDSON.
Did you ever speak to Miss Stackhouse Hudson?
I did.
Was your conversation recorded?
I don't recall.
Okay. And from your review of, do you recall if the surveillance that you watched was the inside one or the outside one?
Both.
Both. Okay. So when you describe the tan Honda sedan pull up to the window and a Mr. Calvin MacArthur get out, you can watch these series of events from both cameras.
From multiple cameras. Yes.
Okay. Can you see inside the vehicle?
Vaguely, you could see a subject in the front passenger seat.
But can you see their face?
No, ma'am.
Do you recall the approximate timestamp when the vehicle first pulls up to the Taco Bell?
Approximately 0550 on the Taco Bell timestamp.
And how long approximately does it take for the car to pull up, Mr. MacArthur to get out, drop the register, get back in the car, drive away?
Approximately 3 minutes.
So it would be 8:50 approximately.
Maybe when they leave.
Yes.
On the timestamp for Taco Bell footage was 5:53.
Mhm. Okay, and then is this Dairy Queen? Is it across the street?
It's situated 1 block south across the highway from the Taco Bell.
Okay. Do the cameras that you watch give you constant visual of the car as it travels?
Not constant, no, ma'am.
So there is a gap of time where you do not have the vehicle on camera?
Correct.
Okay. And then the vehicle pulls up to a Dairy Queen?
Yes, ma'am.
What's the timestamp on the video from the Dairy Queen?
The timestamp's 0555. However, you could see the car sitting at the red light at approximately 5:54.
So the surveillance camera from the Dairy Queen also shows the road intersection?
Correct.
Okay. And then you testify that you could not identify the object that was used to break that window?
Not fully, no.
Okay. Is that because of the quality of the video?
No, ma'am. I just don't recall exactly what it was, whether it be what type of tool it was.
Okay. Do you have your report with you?
I do.
Would your report indicate that?
If you give me a moment.
Yeah, take your time.
My report indicates a crowbar.
Okay. Was a crowbar ever recovered for this case?
Not to my knowledge.
All right, and then I believe you testified you were contacted by an investigator, Finney, from APD, and it was that investigator that gave you the name Kenneth Pack?
No, ma'am. He advised that Atlanta had a similar incident involving the vehicle.
Sure.
A few days after that, he contacted me again and said that he was with a Douglas County investigator. And I ended up meeting with that investigator who identified Mr. Pack and Mr. MacArthur as well.
Okay. Do you recall the name of that Douglas County investigator?
Yes, ma'am. Investigator Jones.
Okay. And I might have missed this, I apologize, but you stated you did not arrest Mr. Pack?
I personally did not.
Who personally did?
I believe it was Officer Watts. Watts. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you for spelling it for the court reporter.
Yes, ma'am.
I believe that's all the questions. Thank you.
All right,
ma'am.
anything
Thank you.
else on direct?
Nothing further at this time, Your Honor.
All right, thank you, officer.
Thank you,
I
Your
have
Honor.
another one, right? So stay safe.
All right, thank you.
All right, go ahead with the argument.
Do you want me to go? Or you can go first.
I'll go first. Your Honor, I'm going to ask for the count of burglary, smash and grab for the Taco Bell incident to be dismissed for insufficient probable cause. The officer testified that there was surveillance footage from the Taco Bell, which does show a vehicle and a driver get out and allegedly break the window and take a register. But he testified, no second individual got out of that car. And although a person may have been sitting in the front passenger seat, no identifying features could be seen. You couldn't see their face before this sedan pulled out from the Taco Bell. Although the time between Taco Bell and Dairy Queen was very short, the officer did state that there is a period of time where the car is not visually captured by cameras. There absolutely is the possibility that someone else got out and Mr. Pack got in the car. There's no way to know because the car is not on camera. I would argue that there's not enough probable cause to suggest that Mr. Pack was involved in the smash and grab burglary at the Taco Bell because nothing puts him there. We will submit based upon the officer's testimony for the smash and grab for the Dairy Queen.
All right, go ahead, Ms. Patton.
Yes, Your Honor, the state would ask that you do find probable cause on the first burglary smash and grab of the Taco Bell. The officer stated that, I think he said it was approximately 2 minutes had passed. He did say on the stand that he was able to identify at least a passenger and someone in the back seat. His later testimony was that Mr. Pack got out of the back seat towards the Dairy Queen. As I stated prior to, probable cause is a low standard, but in the time between the Taco Bell and the Dairy Queen, I think he said it was maybe a block south of the actual Taco Bell and that he saw no one get out of the car. He did state that the footage was pretty continual, and I do understand what Ms. Rondon's saying. However, again, probable cause is a low standard, and he was able to identify that there was someone in the back seat. A block later, Mr. Pack gets out of the back seat and does the same thing at the Dairy Queen. The state would ask that you find probable cause on both of the burglary smash and grabs.
All right, I'll find probable cause on both and we can address bond. It was previously 30,000 pre-trial.
In regards to Mr. Pack, 31 prior arrests, he's currently on probation and COB for burglary, second degree sentence, and 2021 1 year confinement, 4 years probation, has an FTA on for burglary, nothing further.
Go ahead, Ms. Rondon.
All right, Your Honor.
Officer Bostic, can you please repeat that? And after what?
31 prior arrests, probation and COB for burglary in the second, sentence in 2021, 1 year confinement, has an FTA for burglary.
Go ahead, Ms. Rondon, whenever you're ready.
Yes, okay. Your Honor, I have a unique request for Mr. Pack. I know his bond is currently at 30,000. Good. I'm going to be asking for a UJR to the Douglas County Accountability Court. I've been in contact with Mr. Pack's attorney, Mr. Mark Watkins from Douglas County. I've also been in touch with the head of the Douglas County Accountability Court, In fact, we have an email chain with about 10 different people that are all concerned about Mr. Pack from Douglas County. He has been accepted and is set to start the felony hope court in Douglas. And he was actually set to start it in April of this year, but Fulton County swooped in and kind of messed that up by taking him into custody for this case. He does have housing set up. The social worker from Douglas County says is holding a spot for him at a shelter located at 12591 Veterans Memorial Highway, Douglasville, Georgia, 30134. And that spot, as most shelters go, is on a time limit. They can't hold it indefinitely, but it is being held as we speak. I confirmed that this morning. His accountability court is ready to go. It will set him up with services that will help him put his life back on the right track. He's been in custody in various counties for 32 months. He was in Cobb, he was in Douglas, and he spent time in Fulton since April. Spending more time in jail is not going to help Mr. Pack. Mr. Pack really needs the services that accountability court will provide for him. It's going to be transitional housing. It's going to be mental health services. It's going to be all these really great things to help Mr. Pack get his life together and to stay on the right track from here on out. This incident happened in 2020. He's been in custody nearly since then. And he's trying to resolve his matters. He resolved his matter in Cobb. His matter in Douglas is wrapped up in a pretty bow, but it is being delayed because of Fulton County's business with him. And now I understand Fulton County is not going, we do have business, and Mr. Pack is, prepared to handle business here in Fulton, but I'm asking the court to allow him the ability to start accountability court in Douglas and handle his Fulton County business while receiving the good services that the Douglas County Accountability Court can give him. And so I know that was very long-winded, and I can give Your Honor the address again or any other details. I have a copy of the accountability court acceptance and bond order. I have the contact information for the almost a dozen people in Douglas County that are very concerned for Mr. Kenneth Pack. I can provide that to the court as well. And I would just ask for his bond to be a UJR to the program, to the shelter address, and I can provide a transport order as well.
Ms. Patton?
State would defer to the court's discretion.
Oh, no. You got some sort of opinion. You always have an opinion. Let's hear it.
I have no opinion. I'm devoid of opinion today.
All right. I'm not sure if he's still going to be in it with this other arrest, though, Ms. Rondon. Isn't that going to kick him out of that program?
Per my conversation this morning, no, he will not be kicked out because all of his arrests and cases and whatnot are old, happened from 2020. So Douglas was well aware of these other pending matters when they accepted him into the accountability court. The only reason he's been unable to start accountability court is because he is in custody here in Fulton. And he does have a court date upcoming in Douglas that I can pull up. I believe it's July 10th, where the official, his case goes into judicial hold pending completion of the accountability court, where that will happen.
All right. Ms. Patton, anything at all?
Just want the court to note that he's currently on probation for a burglary, a theft charge, and that he already has an FTA for a theft charge.
Well, and Your Honor, last thing, I'm sorry, I keep talking, but I do have as part of his conditions in Douglas, that he is under curfew. He is only allowed to leave the shelter for services connected to the accountability court. He is supposed to wear a Talatrix monitor to monitor him 24 hours a day. I have the order here and it has 19 conditions to it. So it is a very detailed bond, very, very structured program. This was signed in April, and instead of being released to the program, he was sent here to Fulton.
All right, here's what we'll do, because I don't know if, I mean, since it's June, I don't know if he's still in it. So I'll reduce it to 10,000 each count. No drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. Stay away from all Taco Bells, all Dairy Queens, and the ones at 7910 Sonoya Road and 8405 Sonoya Road. Must successfully complete the drug court program in Douglas County. If you don't successfully complete that, that's a violation of your bond condition. Here you have an ankle monitor paid for by the county with a 24-hour curfew, court, lawyer, medical, employment, and participation in the program in Douglas County, and basic life necessities. And then the UJR to that drug program. If they don't come get you, it's a $20,000 good bond. Best of luck to you, sir.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. So we have Dion Watts.
So
It's a UJR to the program. Otherwise, it's 20,000 straight.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Douglas is saying, oh, you have to finish your business in Fulton first, then you have the bond. Does that make sense? Everyone that I was talking about, Mr. Watkins, I have the email right here. I'm gonna talk to Craig, Mark Watkins, I'm gonna talk to all of them.
All right. Thank you for being so patient today, officer.
Yes, ma'am, no problem.
All right, if you can raise your right hand. You swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
How long? Yes, ma'am.
All right, can you state your name, spell it for the court reporter?
I'm not sure how long.
First name is gonna be Decary, DECARY. Last name Simon, SIMON. I work for the Atlanta Police Department.
Okay, stand by till we get the folks out here.
This is our last position.
It is. Well, the other officer's not here on Tabitha Weaver.
I'm going to request a reset, but that's to the judge to grant it. But yes, that's what I'm headed towards.
Unless you want to bring Tabitha out here at the same time, we can take care of that real quick. So I don't know. Are you on my calendar tonight, Miss Rhonda?
I am not.
Oh, okay.
Me neither.
Who's handling it tonight, Mr. Malcolm?
Yeah.
The attorney wasn't here. It's July 11th.
Yep, it is Mr. Malcolm. It is Mr. Malcolm.
All right. Do you want to bring LT, do you want to bring Tabitha Weaver out really quick and we can take care of that?
Okay.
I have a quick question. For Mr. DeAndrew King, what was that reset date again?
7/12.
At 9 a.m.
July 12th at 9
Can
a.m.
he come up? Since it's family, so can't hear. Can he come up too?
Sure, they can talk to me after this
Okay.
if they want to wait.
Just said bring out somebody else.
Tabitha Weaver.
Yeah, the female. Yeah, you can leave them in.
Hey, how you doing?
Miss
Wow, you
Rhonda,
shaved your head.
you weren't able to get
One second.
Mr. Luwumba on the phone.
Oh, Miss Rhonda, you're going to handle Miss Weaver?
Miss Anna Dillon is here to handle Miss Weaver.
Okay. Come on up, Miss Dillon. They can just take Miss Weaver to the podium with her.
Yeah, it's not mine. You can trust me to give it back to her, though. Someone trust me.
Of course. We're gonna have the hearing piece. There you can see the weekend a little better. So I'm ready to go. Hopefully we'll get a lot of good
Right,
information.
there's Ms. Weaver. All right, Ms. Weaver has two positions at 7 and 8. 23 CP 217597, 71 days without indictment, got willful obstruction misdemeanor, criminal damage to property, the second degree, theft by shoplifting felony, and giving false information to a law enforcement officer. And position 8, 23 CP 217598, 71 days without indictment, his felony theft by shoplifting. Go ahead, Ms. Patton.
Yes, Your Honor. The state would be requesting a reset for both those cases. That's position 7 and 8 for a Sandy Springs officer. Like I stated, I do believe that they were probably requested. However, at this time, I need time to further locate the officer. Hannah, can you turn your microphone down?
Sorry.
Any objection?
Oh, yes, Your Honor. We would ask for dismissal of both of these cases due to one of prosecution. This officer has no showed and no called. There's no legal excuse for him to not be in court today. So we would ask for both of these cases to be dismissed. My client has been incarcerated for 71 days. And in lieu of a dismissal, if the alternative, we would ask that there only be one reset allowed.
All right, we'll give one reset. Does July 12th at 9 a.m. work for you, ma'am?
Yes.
Okay. Did you say no, Ms. Ron?
No, that'll work.
Okay, July 12th at 9 a.m. Ma'am, you'll come back July 12th at 9 a.m. It'll be one reset only for the officer to appear.
We'd like to be heard on bond as well.
Let's see.
Okay.
All right, go ahead. Pre-trial.
In regards to Weaver, 40 prior arrests, history of theft by shoplifting, is currently sentenced on 4 separate cases for theft by shoplifting. December the 14th, 2022, theft by shoplifting obstruction. Nothing further.
All right, right now there is a $4,500 good bond on position 7. Go ahead.
Ms. Weaver is 37 years old. She's lived in Atlanta all of her life and all of her family are here. She has 10 children ranging from age 23 to age 8. The grown children live on their own and her younger children live with their grandmother and her mom. If released on bond, she would return to her mother's residence. That is the address on file. Her mom has lived there over 15 years. Ms. Weaver has completed some college and she's currently in school right now as well. She's doing a 2-year cosmetology program. Prior to becoming incarcerated, Ms. Weaver worked as a clerk for about 6 months at Texaco gas station. Since her bond, she's unable to currently pay that bond. We are asking for the $2,000 bond to be reduced to $1,000 and the $4,500 bond to be reduced to $2,250. We would like these bonds to be less than $5,000 total so we can apply to the bail project on her behalf.
All right, Ms. Patton.
Your Honor, the state would object to any lowering of any bond. This defendant has 40 prior arrests. The pretrial mentioned multiple theft by shopliftings. This defendant has a significant likelihood to commit additional felonies while out on bond. State would ask that you leave bond where it's at as she has a bond. If Your Honor is inclined to lower it, we would ask that it be no less than $7,000 in total. I think it was a little bit above that. And a stay away from that target location and no contact with the co-defendants listed in the warrant.
All right, no drug, position 8, ending in 7598, position 8. I'll give $1,000 good bond, no drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons, no further contact with the co-defendant, Jose, Jose Cruz, Cruz. Stay away from all Target stores and the one at 5570 Roswell Road in Sandy Springs. You're gonna have an ankle monitor paid for by the county with a 24-hour curfew. This will be on both court, lawyer, medical, employment, as long as you supply the name of your employer, proof of employment schedule, and the exact location you're going to be working, and also basic life necessities. So that ankle monitor will be on both. On position 7, ending in 7597. No drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. Stay away from all Target stores. Sorry, it's pulling up kind of slow. Let me see. It was set at 40, previously set at 4,500. So let's see. No further contact with your co-defendant, Jose Cruz. Sorry, it's spinning. Stay away from all Target stores and the one at 5570 Roswell Road in Sandy Springs. Once again, stay away from your co-defendant, Jose Cruz. Also, no further contact with VELI, last name Yeti, YETI. You're going to have an ankle monitor, same as the other, paid for by the county with a 24-hour curfew, court, lawyer, medical, employment, as long as you supply the name of your employer, proof of employment, schedule, and the exact location you're going to be working. You also get basic life necessities. So we'll do 750, 750, 1,500, and 250, 750, 750, 1,500, and 250. That ankle monitor will be paid for by the county. Best of luck to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, counsel.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, this is Dion Watts, correct? All right, this is position 1, 22 CP 211410, 314 days without indictment, 1 count of armed robbery. Go ahead, Ms. Patton.
Yep. This officer, he's been sworn in?
Yes, he has, and he has stated his name, Dakari Simon.
That's him. Hello, Officer Simon.
Hello.
How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm great, thank you. Where are you currently employed?
The city of Atlanta.
And were you employed at the city of Atlanta on or about August 11th, 2022?
Yes, ma'am.
And you're saying the city of Atlanta, but do you mean like the police department there?
Yes, Atlanta Police Department.
Okay. And are you post-certified?
Yes, ma'am.
Were you post-certified on or about August 11th, 2022?
Yes, ma'am.
How did you come in contact with the defendant in this case?
I actually came in contact with him through, I actually got flagged down by the victim. Mr. Travell McCray.
Can you please spell Travell McCray, please?
Yes. It's going to be TREVELLE. Last name McCray, MCRAE.
Okay, go ahead.
I got flagged down by Mr. McCray at 870. Hold on. It's gonna be 870 Mason Turner Road, which is right there by the Ashby train stations. He flagged me down, stated that he was robbed by 3 males. He known mostly for one particular, Mr. Dion in particular. He also stated that he knew one guy, Ms. Dion, who was wearing a blue shirt with dreads, who walked up to him and stated to him, "Oh, what's good?" And that's when Mr. Watts pulled a firearm out on him in the midst of that. The second suspect, by the name of Mr. DeAndrew King, who's wearing a gray shirt and gray shorts, walked up behind him with a fanny pack and also put a firearm on him from the back. Third suspect, by the name of Mr. Rashawn Blue, with a black hoodie, punched Mr. Cray in his left eye as they were demanding him to empty his pockets.
1 second, Officer Simon.
Yes, ma'am.
What was that? You said Mr. Rashawn something.
Hold
Can you
on.
go back to that statement, please?
Third suspect, Mr. Rashawn Blue, last name Blue.
Okay. I can't tell you what you said, so
I'm
you're
sorry.
gonna have to kind of go back and repeat it. Just start from Mr. Rashawn Blue.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's see, the fanny pack and the third suspect by the name of Mr. Rashawn Blue was wearing a black hoodie, punched Mr. McCray.
Objection, Your Honor. I would ask that the witness refresh his memory with his report and not read from it.
All right, so you can just look at your report, read it, then look up and answer the question.
I got you.
Okay.
Mr. McCray stated that he was punched in the face by Mr. Blue as they were demanding money from him. And then in the midst of that, that's when they started trying to go in his pockets. Mr. Watts was trying to go in his pocket. I'm sorry, Dion Watts was trying to go inside of his pockets. And apparently Mr. McCray pulled out, he had some pepper spray. And that's when he tried to pepper spray them. In the midst of that, he ended up pepper spraying himself. I'm sorry, this incident happened almost about a year ago. I got to refresh my by looking at it.
So just take your time to read it if you need to, and then you just let us know when you're ready.
Okay.
Okay.
And at the time they were trying to go through Mr. McCray's pockets, Mr. McCray stated to them that he had like 200, like around about 230 to $260 on him, which was pulled out of his pockets by Mr. Watts himself.
Okay. I'm gonna back up a little bit, okay?
Mm-hmm.
The 87 Mason Turner Road, is that here in Fulton County?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
870 Mason Turner Road.
Please let the record reflect that the witness has identified this incident location as being in Fulton County.
Record shall reflect.
You stated that someone flagged you down, Mr. McCray.
Yes.
What was his demeanor?
It's kind of panic because as I was driving by, he almost ran a road. I ended up just getting out of the car, and that's when he also had his girlfriend also sitting there as well. He seemed like he was kind of scared, and he also had water dripping from his his right eye, and I think his right eye, he can't see out of his right eye, which is the eye that he got punched out of. So,
water dripping.
I wasn't sure if it was dripping because he got punched or because he was emotional for the incident, but he was kind of.
There was liquid out of his eye. Okay. Okay.
That's when he ended up pointing down the street that after the whole incident, 3 of the males went down Joseph E. Larry Torch, Drummond Street.
Okay. And was his eye swollen or bruised?
No, it was not. It was not swollen or bruised.
But you said it was closed?
Yeah. So apparently, I guess he recently, something happened to his eye. It already had previously, he had a previous incident with his eye, so he can't see out of his right eye at all.
Okay.
Before that even occurred.
Okay. Did he tell you what exactly or how he knew these 3 individuals? Because you said he stated he knew them.
Mm-hmm.
Did he tell you how he knew them?
He did. I did not put that in the report though, but it's like from a previous incident that happened between them about, I guess he owed one of the males money. I can't say which male, but he owed one of the males money, and that's how they ended up coming. They saw him on the side of the street and came to confront him about it, and just try to see if they can get money off of him.
Okay. Did he state if they had a firearm or not?
Yes.
And yes, they did, or yes, he stated if they had a firearm?
Yes, he stated they had a firearm.
Did he describe what it looked like?
I'm sorry, one moment.
Okay.
He did describe it to me, but I did not put that in.
You can't recall?
No, ma'am.
Okay, that's fine. Did he state who had the firearm?
Yes, he did. He stated that Mr. Watts himself and Mr. King and Watts.
Okay. Did he advise you if they said anything to him?
The only thing they said to him, like I said, when he went to him, say, "Oh, what's good with it?" and then asked him to empty out his pockets and what he had in his pockets, and that was about it. He didn't elaborate on anything after that.
How long have you been working for APD?
5 years.
Okay. And how many robberies would you say you've worked on? Over 20?
It's probably a little bit more than that. Probably like around about 26, maybe 27.
Okay.
This incident was just, I never dealt with like more than like 3 people. It's always that one person, but this happened to be just 3 suspects.
Okay, multiple people.
Yeah.
In your training experience, what does what's good with it mean?
I cannot tell you what that means. It can mean anything. Could be asking them, you know, how's they going? It can also mean, oh, you got something for me? It can mean many things, depending on how you're using it.
Have you ever heard it in this context before?
I have.
And what did it mean prior?
As if you owe them something.
Okay.
Yes.
Did you ever see Mr. Watts and the other suspects while you were there?
I did not. There were 2 discretionary units, crime suppression units that also came to assist me with this case. Officer Schaefer and Officer Diaz, right where Mr. McCray gave me the location, the direction of where the suspects went after the incident, which he said down Joseph Larry, and they made a left on Drummond Street, down Joseph Larry, across MLK, and right there, I think the 2 streets down, you'll come off on Drummond Street.
So you advised your other units that that's where the suspects had gone?
Yes, and I gave a description of all 3 of the males.
Who gave you the description of the males?
Mr. McCray.
What description did Mr. McCray give you of the defendant?
For Mr. Watts, blue shirt with dreads, and then you have Mr. King, gray shirt and gray shorts. And then
We can just stay on Mr. Watts for
Okay.
right now. Okay. Did you arrest Mr. Watts?
I did not. I arrested him. I did not detain him at the location where the discretionary units found him at.
Okay, but you performed the subsequent arrest?
Yes.
And was he wearing the same items that were described to you by the victim?
Mr. Watts?
Yes.
Yes, he was.
Do you see Mr. Watts in the courtroom today? You can stand up if you need to.
Yes, I do.
Can you please tell me if he is on my left or on my right and describe him with an article of clothing?
Gonna be on your right side. He's gonna be wearing orange jumpsuit, the white t-shirt underneath.
Okay. Please let the record reflect that the witness has identified the defendant, Mr. Deion Watts.
All right, the record will so reflect.
Okay. You stated that he described him with dreads, correct?
Stated, I'm sorry?
You stated that the victim stated Mr. Watts had dreads?
Yes.
Okay. But this individual in this courtroom doesn't have dreads, correct?
No.
Okay. But you're still able to recognize him by face, correct?
Yes.
So even though he doesn't have dreads currently today, this is still the same person who was arrested on that day.
Yes.
Is this still the same person that the victim described to you?
Yes.
Did the victim ever identify Mr. Watts via a photo lineup or pointing him out?
Yes, we actually did show up. So the location where we found the three suspects, including Mr. Watts, we actually drove Mr. McCray from 870 Mason Turner to 887 Drummond Street, where the suspects apparently were chilling on the porch. That's when they went to the house. Speed this up. Suspects came out of the house. 20 minutes later, we drove Mr. McCray over to that location, just had him wait inside the vehicle. I'm sorry. And we sent Mr. McCray, we transported Mr. McCray inside one of the vehicles, a tinted vehicle, so he wouldn't be seen, to 887 Drummond Street. And I'm sorry.
No, you go ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Are you
Finish.
okay? And that's where the two of the discretionary units saw the three males sitting on the porch. When the males saw the officers, they just went inside. Males gave them discretionary units, made multiple commands for them to come out of the house. They didn't at first, but after a while, they ended up coming out, detained all the suspects. 20 minutes later, we drove Mr. McCray over to that location in a tinted vehicle. There were over 6 to 7 individuals inside the home, and we did a show up, had him look at every single individual that's inside that home, and he pointed out 3 of the suspects, which including Mr. Watts.
Okay. What's a show up?
So show up meaning showing a victim of a crime, multiple, not just of one individual, but multiple individuals, so it just won't, because doing this, he said he knew him, but just so he won't point out the wrong person, that's why we show him multiple rather than just those 3. That's why we had them show him all 7 of the individuals inside the house to make it more concurrent and accurate.
Okay. And through that show up, that's where the victim identified Mr. Watts.
Yes.
Okay. Who at the time, once again, had dreads, but doesn't today.
Yes.
Okay. Forgive me for asking again, how much money did the victim advise was taken from him?
He said roughly between $230 and $260. He couldn't elaborate, but he just gave me a reference.
Okay. And was your body camera working while this was going on?
Yes.
And was that submitted for evidence?
Yes, ma'am.
And do you have dash cam on your patrol vehicle?
Yes, I do.
And was that submitted for evidence?
Yes, all of it. Fleet. Yes.
Okay. And when you finally arrived and conducted the show up with Mr. Watts present in it, what was Mr. Watts' demeanor?
Just a blank face. He didn't show any type of like expression or anything like that.
Did you ever ask him about the event?
Mr. Watts?
Yep.
Yes, I actually read his Miranda along as well as the other 2 suspects.
Did he advise of anything?
I can't recall because it's just a while ago. I can't recall what he stated to me.
Okay. I know you said you can't recall, but did he confirm what had happened?
No, but only thing I can say is, yeah, he did know Mr. McCray, but with the situation that took place, the incident that took place, it didn't happen.
Okay.
He did state that he knew the victim, Mr. McCray, but he stated that the incident that took place with the robbery did not occur.
I'm sorry, I'm going to go back a little bit. Who did the victim say held the gun on him?
From the front or from the back?
There's 2 guns. I'm asking.
Which suspects?
Yeah, there were 2 firearms.
Yeah.
And so, yes, which suspects held the firearms on him?
Mr. Watts and Mr. King.
You also stated that he was punched. Did he say who punched him?
Mr. Blue punched him.
Okay.
Rashawn Blue. Rashawn Blue.
Did he state what the firearms look like?
He did, but between which suspect had which firearm, he couldn't recall if the colors for silver or black. He just knew one of them was black and one of them was silver, but he didn't rephrase which one had either or.
Okay. Okay. Was there any other witnesses to this incident?
His girlfriend was actually there.
Whose girlfriend?
Mr. McCray, but apparently don't know, I guess apparently she didn't see what went down. I guess she just caught like the after part of it, but we didn't end up getting her. I guess she actually ended up getting transported momentarily after we got there because she was having some chest problems apparently. So.
Oh, were there any injuries from this incident other than you said being punched in the face? What's bruising,
No, besides
swelling?
the pepper spray for himself, then no.
Okay. Did he receive emergency attention?
Yes, he got looked at and refused be transported or further medical attention.
Mr. Watts was charged with armed robbery. What was the probable cause basis for the armed robbery charge?
Probable cause for armed robbery, based off of a forcible felony and receiving of goods, definitely of items that is not his, and displaying a firearm pointing at victim.
Did the victim at any time indicate to you that that money was Mr. Watts and not his money?
No.
Okay. Is there anything else you learned during your investigation that we haven't covered here today?
During that whole incident, I had so my supervisor was also notified of it, and we do have cameras at Joseph E. Laurie and MLK, and right at the intersection at around 11:05 a.m. between 11:15 a.m. You can see all three of the males at that intersection walking from 870 Mason Turner, but it doesn't catch the incident that took place. But during the time frame of when it happened, actually, it kind of led it to them walking from that location down Drummond Street. That you can see them walking across the crosswalk.
Okay, and you were able to recognize them from that that footage?
Yes, we actually pictures or everything will be on the report as well. That's how the discretionary units were able to also identify them when they were also on the porch at 887 Drummond Street.
Okay, which is also located in Fulton County.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Nothing further.
All right, Cross.
Yes.
Good afternoon, officer.
Good afternoon.
You've been here a long time. I promise I'll try to keep it quick.
Okay.
So you were flagged down on August 11th by Mr. McRae. Is that correct?
Yes.
Approximately what time did he flag you down?
Flagged me down around. I'm sorry. It's like 1 moment. Hold on.
Take your time.
Time for you. Oh, I have it right here. I'm just trying to zoom in on it. All right. The time was around 11 a.m., but the time I called it out, like it was around, 11 a.m. Time I called it out was around 11:09, 11:08. I think that's what it looks like, but mostly like around 11 o'clock from what I can see.
Okay, so when you say call out, you called to dispatch saying,
Yeah. Because when he was talking to me, I let him get everything out before I even raised on radio that my location and what I had going on before anything.
sure. So is it accurate to say that he waved you down, you talked to him, you called dispatch? So a few minutes had gone by the time this 11:08 dispatch call went out.
Yes.
Okay. And he was with his girlfriend.
Yes, he was.
What was the girlfriend's name again?
I never got her name. She didn't speak to us. She didn't tell us what happened. She didn't say anything.
Mr. McCray didn't give you her name?
No, he didn't either. I guess he didn't. I'm not sure if he didn't want her to be involved in it or because of the guys, because of who they were, but he didn't elaborate on her name or stated if she was involved.
Okay, and I thought I heard you say that she had chest issues or a medical emergency. Is that accurate?
Yeah. And she was sitting on the bench out there. But we had one of the Grady units come out to assist her before we actually transported Mr. McCray to AA7 Drummond.
Okay. And it was your testimony earlier that the eye where he was punched, he didn't have an eye. Did I hear you correctly?
He had an eye, but of course, it's hard for me to really explain it. But he cannot see. He cannot see. He had like some type of infection in his eye or something like that from like a previous incident years back.
Understood.
Yeah.
I was just wanted to clarify what I heard you say earlier. And Mr. McRae told you that he pulled a knife and he pulled pepper spray.
Yes.
Did you recover that
I didn't
knife?
say that the knife part, but the knife part was happened. So Ms. McCray did have a knife though.
Did you recover the knife for Mr. McRae?
No, I don't know. He never told me what he did with it.
So you never saw one?
No, I did not.
How about the pepper spray?
No, I didn't see that either.
So he claimed to have sprayed himself in the face with pepper spray, but you never saw a can of pepper spray?
No.
And please remind me what was the time frame between this alleged robbery and him flagging you down?
Between 11 and 9 or 8 a.m. within like 8-9 minutes.
So in 8 or 9 minutes, Mr. McRae got rid of the can of pepper spray? Is that right?
Yes.
Objection. How is he supposed to know what he did with the pepper spray?
What's wrong? So the robbery occurred approximately 11 a.m.
Yes, ma'am.
And did you respond to the 887 Drummond Street address for the arrest of Mr. Watts?
Yes, I did.
All right. Approximately what time was that?
I don't have a time frame. I don't have a time frame for that one.
Okay. Can you approximate for me then how long it took you from 11:08 a.m. at 870 Mason Turner Road to get to 887 Drummond Street?
Time given out, probably like around, I'm not look at this, hold on. I'll say probably like around 11:30, 11:35, because we still had to wait because he didn't want to leave his girlfriend there until Grady transported her.
Let me ask you a better question. I apologize. Do you know what time the first officers arrived at Drummond Street?
No, I don't.
Okay, but it took you approximately 30 minutes to get over there.
Yes, by the time they were over there, they was over there for like maybe a whole 10 or 15 minutes before I go over there.
Do you know how far it is from 870 Mason Turner to 887 Drummond Street?
Yes, probably like a half a mile, maybe less.
Half a mile? Do you know can you estimate how long it would take for someone to walk that?
6, 7 minutes, maybe less, 6, 7 minutes.
Okay. And when you responded to 8870 Drummond, that was with Mr. McRae?
Yes,
So you were present for the show up?
yes.
I believe you testified earlier that it was an Officer Diaz, and I didn't catch the second officer's name.
Officer Schaefer.
Can you spell that, please?
I don't know how to spell his last name. Sorry.
That's all right, I'll guess. But they were the two officers that went to Drummond Street before you.
Yes.
Did you speak to them about their encounter with Mr. Watts before you got there?
With Mr. Watts and the other individuals, of course, they said they saw the males that was on the property, on the porch. Fit the description that I had given. I also a picture that I had sent to their city sales. And of course, when they went to that location, they didn't say anything. The males ended up seeing them and went right back inside the house. And when they actually went to knock on the door, somebody came out, gave multiple commands for them to come out. Eventually, they ended up coming out, as well as some other people that apparently had nothing to do with also came out as well.
Okay. Did they tell you whether or not they found a firearm on Mr. Watts?
No. No firearm was not located.
There we go. So no firearm was located on Mr. Watts. Is that accurate? No
Yes,
firearm?
ma'am, I'm sorry. I know you asked me a question.
Okay.
Yes, no firearm.
Was money found on Mr. Watts?
No money was found.
Are you aware of whether or not money was found on any of the individuals?
No.
I apologize. I should have asked a better question. Is it that you are not aware or you do know and money was not found?
I do know. No money was found.
Got it. Now, you testified on direct that there is a camera located at MLK Drive and Joseph E. Lowry. Is that an APD camera?
Yes, it is.
Okay. And I believe the timestamp you gave was 11:05 to 11:15.
Yes.
And during that 10 minutes, you can see Mr. Watts walk across the street.
Yes, they all standing at that intersection. And then there's another clip that I have of them actually walking towards Jump Street inside in the crosswalk.
Can you see anything in Mr. Watts's hands?
No, neither one of them had anything in their hand. The only thing I saw was the black fanny pack that was on one of them.
Do you recall who it was on?
Just give me one moment. Mr. King had the black fanny pack.
Were these men walking at a leisurely pace?
Yeah, casual walking, not running or anything.
And did it take them a full 10 minutes to cross the street?
Nah, it was fairly quick. They weren't walking slow, but it's like normal, as in, okay, let's get across the street, like so we won't get hit. You know, one of those things.
Sure. Did you recover any other camera footage as a part of your investigation?
No, ma'am.
One moment, please, Your Honor.
Okay.
Come out of the house. How? First, how? Girl. they got the altercation and somebody else puts him in the face. You know what I'm saying? They had altercation. He pepper sprayed his girl. Okay. That's why she had heart autism.
I would like to clarify something real quick. When officers Diaz and Schaefer first arrived at Drummond Street, they saw of various males sitting on the front porch,
Yes.
and then these males went into the house. Is that accurate?
Yes.
So then they had to walk up to the front of the house, knock on the door, and ask them to come outside.
Mhm.
Okay. Additionally, when you first responded on scene to Mason Turner, and you encountered Mr. McRae and his girlfriend, did his girlfriend show evidence of pepper spray on her person?
She did, 'cause at first he said that he think that he pepper sprayed her, but then she said that she wasn't. So I couldn't really tell if she got pepper sprayed or not, but she just said that I guess she was having some chest pains.
So at first, Mr. McRae said he pepper sprayed her.
No,
Or he thought he did.
Himself, but he thought he did. But we already had ruled that out, and because she said that she was okay, she just needed, because she was just having some chest pains.
So you didn't see evidence of?
No, I didn't.
Okay, nothing further.
All right, anything else on direct?
Nothing further from the state, Your Honor.
All right, thank you, officer. Thank you for being so patient.
Thank you.
Stay safe out there. All right, go ahead with argument.
I'll go first. Your Honor, I'm going to ask for the count against Mr. Watts for armed robbery to be dismissed for insufficient probable cause. Based on the officer's testimony, the alleged victim, Mr. McRae, flagged down an officer at 11 o'clock approximately to report that he had just been robbed at gunpoint. But the officer then testified that at 11:05, Mr. Watts is seen on camera walking at a casual pace, not running, not freaking out, nothing like that. Less than 5 minutes later, nearly a block from where this happened, I would assert it is not possible for the armed robbery to have occurred at the location of 870 Mason Turner, and then for Mr. Watts to be seen on camera over a block away, not running. That just does not make sense. Furthermore, testimony today established that, police responded to the Drummond Drive location very quickly after this was reported. It was dispatched out at 11:08 a.m. and officers were at that Drummond Street, he said, sooner than 30 minutes later. They did not find Mr. Watts with a weapon. They did not find Mr. Watts with any money on him. Nothing to suggest that he had just committed an armed robbery. Sorry, Your Honor, I lost my train of thought.
That's okay.
I just find this series of events as reported by Mr. McRae very suspicious. There was testimony that his girlfriend may have been pepper sprayed, that he may have been pepper sprayed, but no can of pepper spray was located or seen by the responding officer. And the responding officer was flagged down by Mr. McRae within only 2 or 3 minutes of this armed robbery happening. How can he have pepper sprayed himself and then not had the can of pepper spray? Your Honor, I just don't believe that there's been enough here to establish that Mr. Watts more likely than not committed this armed robbery. He can't be in 2 places at once. He was not found with a weapon. And I would ask for the charge against Mr. Watts to be dismissed for insufficient probable cause.
All right, what says the state?
Your Honor, the state believes that the probable cause standard, more likely than not, has been established as it is a low burden. The officer testified that he saw these three individuals that Mr. McCray described to him in detail in the location around the time of the incident. He also testified that I believe he said there was something coming from his eye. And at first he said tearing, and then he said liquid. So I'm just presuming that he didn't know exactly what it was. That being said, I think there's enough here that establishes armed robbery. The victim also testified to the defendant having a gun. He identified the defendant in a show up. He also stated that he had known the victim previously, so he was aware of who he was. We also established that this was in Fulton County. The officer himself identified the defendant as the person who was in the show up and the person who was on the camera footage around the incident time and location. Further, the victim was able to identify the other individuals who were present as well. And I understand that we're not here for them, but the victim and the officer testified to the victim's position that Mr. Watts himself held the gun on him and took between $230 and $260. And Mr. Watts was the one who spoke to the victim as well. As such, the state would ask that you find probable cause for an armed robbery charge.
Okay, I found probable cause for the armed robbery, and we already addressed bond on June the 6th. It's $12,500. Best of luck to you, sir. LT, if we can bring out DeAndre King really quickly so I can tell him his is continued, because I've got a court in 15 minutes.
We did find out that at least there's body camera footage, so all these statements are captured on video, so we can watch that. This footage showing you this intersection, evidence, we've got that, we've got good information. So we did something today. Okay. Oh, Anna Dillon.
Anna Dillon?
Yes.
Thank you.
Sure, you can stand right.
She's stand right there.
All right, sir, this is 22 CP 211410, DeAndre King, armed robbery, 314 days. Mr. King, your attorney, Mr. Lawamba, did not call today, and he did not show up on Zoom. So your case has been reset until July the 12th at 9 a.m. That's the only option that we have since he didn't show up. All right, best of luck to you, sir. Next time you talk to your lawyer, remind him to show up, okay?
I can't talk to y'all. He never answers my phone. He don't answer jail calls and that, y'all. I told him I had a court date and everything. I talked to the man personally. I told him I had a court date and everything,
We'll
y'all.
make sure that we email him again.
Please.
Ms. Watts, please email him again and remind him about that court date.
Yes, Judge, I will.
All right, thank you, sir.
Love y'all.
All right, that's all we need, right? So I can go get ready for my night court really quickly?
Yep.
All right, thank you, guys. Ms. Fisher, I'll look in the queue just as soon as I get back from taking my dogs out really quickly before I start night court.
Okay, thank you.